Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your favorite show within a show, Countless Chronicles. We have new people here tonight. Angela is joining us, who plays Syl, and Jay, who plays Oshin, are both joining us, and we are very excited. As always, I am Tessa, your RPG mom, aka Self-Key Dreams on Twitter. You can find me on the web in a couple of different places and across various Nerdsmith shows. And joining me, of course, is always my lovely and wonderful co-host, Heather.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather. I play Soxy on Countless Heroes, and you can find me on Twitter at amethyst_magic. And we're here to recap the last 10 episodes for you. 9? The start of Arc 3.
So why don't we go ahead, Angela, since you have not been on Countless Chronicles before, we are very excited for joining us.
Is there hazing?
There's no hazing. The worst thing we do to you is ask you to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of info about you rather than Syl.
Okay. My name is Angela. I play Syl. I'm under the weather. And that's my life right now. Is a lack
nice enough to come on.
A lack of air circulation.
You don't have to do a voice.
And lots of tea. Well, no, this is my voice right now. It's just gonna be this.
Aww.
Still smoked 6 packs a day for like 10 years.
Yeah, weirdly, that whole immunity. No, never mind.
It was never brought up before now, but
it's like a chimney. It just acquired debris over the years, and now her voice sounds different.
It's a special air shale cigar. It only blows color smoke. And yeah. Anyway, I'm Angela. I'm one of the Nerdsmith directors, and I am on a couple of shows. I'm on Shenanigans, and I run Threads in the Veil, which is planned for a New Year's resurgence. Just mostly because New Year's resolutions. Get your work done.
I think Threads was nominated for the Audioverse Awards for Best Sound and Audio Engineering.
I was nominated for Best Audio Engineering for a short form comedy regular release. There were many subtopics. But yeah, I don't think that the announcements have come out yet about the voting is closed, but I don't know what happened. But it was just a pleasure to be nominated, and
not only were you nominated, you were also a finalist in those nominations.
Top 5. It was very. I was very humbled and it was very nice of them. But yeah, I run a bunch of shows and tinker on the website and do all that kind of neat stuff. And I'm a pretty neat person.
I agree with that. Really quickly, we're going to have Jay introduce himself. Just a reminder for people out in the audience, if this is the first time they're joining us for Countless Chronicles, please feel free to ask questions for the cast. We will do a quick recap of what's been going on and then answer your questions. And of course, end with everybody's favorite comments. Who do you ship and why? So Jay, go ahead.
I'm Jay. I play Oshin. I've been on here before. I don't know what else to say. I don't know. I am an artist. I do cosplay sometimes. Yeah. I cosplayed this show. I was the first person to cosplay this show, so
that's true.
Trailblazer.
Indeed.
You are truly an icon. And also your Oshin cosplay was on point. It was amazing. I love
Oshin on that
need
throne,
a new wig.
my favorite thing.
That's true. Yeah, you do need a new wig.
You just need like a Finn from Adventure Time wig. Like just long, flowing blonde.
I do believe that our last session was our Ask Me Almost Anything with Logan that was wrapping the end of Arc 2, which also, I believe the end of Arc 2 included Oshin's resurrection and reincarnation was the last episode of episode 2. So if you have any questions for Jay about Oshin's resurrection, please feel free to ask them. We will include them, even though if it was slightly outside of Arc 3, because when we have the player here, it's always good to be able to ask those questions.
That's true.
Alrighty, so ladies and gentlemen, we have the drill here. We go through episodes one by one, doing the recaps, giving you guys an in-depth look at what went on. As always, Countless Heroes is very much the soap opera of D&D, so there were some very extreme highs and lows over the last 10 episodes. Heather, would you like to start us out with
Sure.
episode 76?
All right, so starting off with episode 76, we had Finku, Nyx, Callie, Primeheart, Owen, and Nathan in that episode. Everyone went through their normal morning things, whether it be jobs or running errands. There was nothing major that morning that I'm seeing. And then everyone met up to talk at the Beer Forge and figure out what they were going to do next. The one big thing that did happen is that Nathan went and looked into getting an ersatz eye so that he'd be able to see, to fill in the one missing one. At the Beer Forge, everyone met up and was talking about what to do next and discussing the fact that Ezra wasn't willing to do any more resurrections after everything that had happened. And let's see, moving ahead. Lots of talk. They decided to look into Bezel and the Timekeepers more. Obviously, some of the group from back in the beginning of the campaign had already had some run-ins with Bezel. Anyone who's watched all the episodes or has read the recaps for like the first couple knows that Bezel kidnapped Pinball, and then we had to get Pinball back by making trades and all this kind of stuff. It was a lot of work, and no one really cared for Bezel all that much. Lurk even broke his clock, and Finku fixed it and stole a piece. So, not the best history with the group. But they went over to the Clover House to meet with him and also to deliver the dark tools that they had gotten from Meryl of the Birchfield Seekers. They had promised to hand it over to Bezel on her behalf, and so they were completing that errand as well. They went in and talked with him, and they were working on figuring out how to get in the first place. He initially refused to see them until they explained that they had business as well as a delivery. He finally agreed to talk with them, and when they went in, they discovered a half-orc sitting at the bar just like before, pretending to be Bezel. But they, of course, from previous knew that it wasn't. They spoke and discussed different trades, and Nyx offered Bezel the Electrum coin that they had gotten from the Shovel Tusks a couple nights before, in exchange, sort of as a gift, because giving him a gift tends to make him happier and more amenable to everybody. He agreed to give the group more information and told us that the Spider Emblem guns are belonging to a group known as the Cylinder. And he said that he wouldn't give us more information unless we made him some kind of offer. So Nyx, trying to impress Bezel, shifted into their changeling form, or shifted back and forth. However, then the half-orc at the bar revealed themselves to be Xyler and shifted himself back as well. So Primeheart noticeably looked at Xyler and just mouthed, "Found you." Because we're not big fans of Xyler either after what he did to Saldana. Again, way back. The dragon, yeah. Xyler's not our favorite person either. Bezel didn't know the identities of the members of the Cylinder, but he did offer something else in exchange for information on the portal to the Shadowfell. He offered to, he gave an envelope to Owen and revealed that he had Amy, the Nocturne that was sentient, that we had somewhat befriended before, in a cell. And he also had a gun that belonged to the Cylinder. So he was willing to exchange those things for information, detailed information on how to get to the Shadowfell portal. What we learned is that the Cylinder is an organization that appeared about 20 years ago, and they do have close ties to the king, but he didn't know in exactly what capacity. He did know they were in charge of the Nocturne, and that their weapons were primarily arcane in nature rather than mechanical. So they are a gun, but it's like an arcane gun. And also that the Nocturne had roughly 100 of the traditional models, which are the old school ones, 3 sergeants, which are the ones that have the disintegration ray from the wedding, and 1 lieutenant, which was Amy. And that the Cylinder seemed to be preparing for something, but he didn't really know what. Owen gave Bezel the information and did give him a heads up that there was, quote, a mean bitch of a devil demon that would protect the portal, but that we didn't specifically ourselves know the ritual needed to remove her from the way. We were given the gun and also shown to Amy, and she was initially unresponsive, but once she realized who we were, was willing to talk to Owen and the others, but she mainly was demanding that they let her out because she knew Earl had to be alive since she could sense him and wasn't herself non-functional. Her existence was tied to his, so the fact that she was still up and running meant that Earl had to be somewhere. Amy said she couldn't disobey the king. It was part of her programming, for lack of a better word, but that she would try not to act unlawfully, and we made arrangements to have her delivered to Callie's temple as soon as possible and made the exchange. The group left through a portal that closed behind them out of the holding area where Amy was, and Primeheart had been holding the gun the entire time. The gun has some sort of tie to Amy because she was trying to summon it almost through the bars and get it to come back to her, but the group was afraid to let her have it because we didn't know what she'd do. So they left with it, and Primeheart buried it somewhere near his camp. We don't know exactly where. He's kept it hidden. Nyx left and walked away to go do an errand. Owen also left, and then Nathan went and checked on Mari. Finku hung out with Primeheart and Callie for a little while longer, and then the two of them, Primeheart and Callie, went and got a room ready for Amy at Callie's temple. Nyx did go back to the temple district, specifically to the nature temple, but in the form of Dell, and left a message with a priest for Ezra saying that she would be busy for the next week. So basically a message about their hours and a kind of saying, sorry, I'll be back later sort of thing. And that was the end of episode 76.
Alrighty. I will go ahead and take a 77, and then Angela will get you queued up for 78. How's that sound?
Sure.
If your voice is not up to it because you're not feeling well, please let us know. We're happy to let you skip over that part.
I'll review 78 real quick, and I'll tell you if I can manage it.
No worries. So episode 77 included the characters Callie, GB, Syl, O'Sheen, Pip, and Primeheart. Primeheart has made a new estate out of his camp and has now called it the Skyroot Estate, much to Callie's delight. Amy will be transported to Callie's temple as soon as word is sent, which Callie did that morning. And Pip is back after nonstop cooking for Reynard Manor after 2 constant weeks of parties. Somehow he had managed to sprout an attitude, an addiction to cigarettes, and very strange mannerisms that quickly went away. And the bandana. Thank you. That was what I was like. I don't remember what it was. The bandana. That was very true. Syl worked on her mural in the workshop and kept her eye on Dub after kind of having a little concern about him acting slightly strange recently due to potentially coming off of Daydream. And GB has now launched an advertising business by using Skywrite, which seems to be going fairly well. At the Beer Forge, Primeheart decided to bring Douglas, one of his sentient trees, to hang around for the holidays and pitched it as a decorated simple servant. Loomis is coming up, the winter celebration, where the citizens of Cinderhaven and the rest of Vale will be celebrating the Dragon Mother and the creation myth of the world. It's become a little bit more commercial in more recent years, and not a lot of people are super tuned into the exact meaning, but the streets were decorated with dragon egg ornaments, with lights, and all sorts of beautiful, just fire kind of symbology and egg symbology throughout the town.
Yeah, it's just become all about Black Magic Friday. Nobody really.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Arlen's
that's
gonna have
true.
a great sale.
Violence is going to have a great
yeah.
sale. It's going to
That'll
be
be
fantastic.
amazing. Or if we're working with
Looking
the
forward to that.
Sub-Rosarium, they might give us some deals.
Ooh, well, we'll get to that one in a later episode, and that doesn't sound like a terrible idea, except if you're Callie and Syl, maybe potentially. We'll find out. Callie's not 100% sold, but she's not unopposed. So, as the group gathers in the beer forge, as we are wont to do, a strange mechanical creature enters the bar, and it seems to be similar to Mo, except for instead of one round face, it's two boxy squares, rectangles put together. It's another Modron, and his name is Duran. And Duran is the accountability buddy of Dee Dee, the new duo drone that, should Mo and Moira merge, as they are supposed to do, to create Dee Dee, he will be there to escort Dee Dee home and to teach them all about how to be a duo drone.
There's one important other difference between Mo and Duran.
The voice.
Oh, hi! I talk like this. It's really great to meet you. I'm a duo drone.
I am a duo drone. It's nice to meet you. Yeah. Yeah. It was delightful. Delightful.
Clearly, we had to prevent Mo from merging at all costs.
Indeed.
We specifically asked, is Mo going to sound like this if he merges? And when he said yes, we were all like,
pretty much, yes.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, exactly. However, we did find out that if Mo and Moira did not merge to become Dee Dee, then Duran would help the Quadrones prune Mo from the correct equation. Duran was summoned by Moira because Mo is being difficult and not wanting to merge. He likes who he is. The party decided to go to Mo's tower and talk to him about it, and also talk to Pinball and see what we could do to help. As we entered the new portal, it smelled awful. Something was off, and we came to find out that Pinball had dropped some Phenagex mixed with several other scent glands that he had combined to make his portal even more off-putting than it already is. The group spoke for a moment, and Pinball concluded that he was going to go talk to Mo, but it should be a one-on-one talk rather than a group conversation, and really try and get to the root of all of the potential. My brain just stopped working mid-sentence. I'm so sorry. Potential difficulties there. So the group decided to go to the Chalice and work off a little bit of frustration and blow off a bit of steam with a good fight and maybe earn a little bit of money. So as we go that direction, we do stop by a temple in the Temple District to talk to Hasko about potentially joining the Steel Syndicate. And as we get there, there are magic users using prestidigitation and mending to accept the building, and there are goblins all over, as we realize this temple is being turned into a barracks and home base for Hasko and the Steel Syndicate. We meet Hasko sitting at a drafting table, and while we think he's a tabaxi, he's got some very strange hands. We're not entirely sure at the time what to make of him. He's very blunt and very brusque, and he challenges the party with questions as to what is their niche and where do they fit in. He's got tons of groups that are already really good at what they do. Why should we be given a chance to get in as well? Our description that we gave him just didn't really seem to fit the syndicate. The group is concerned, given that the syndicate's focus seems to be on money, and we aren't sure if we want to do jobs for everybody. While money pays the bills, a lot of us have a bit of a moral compass that we prefer to follow, and we're kind of dissuaded by Hasko with his mentioning that sometimes you turn down enough jobs and suddenly you stop getting any more. So the party decided to not continue with negotiations and continued on to the chalice after a bit of headbutting between Callie and Haskell mentioning having downed a blue dragon, much to Callie's dismay. Although Haskell brought up a good point in saying that Callie had never actually met a full dragon. She'd only met partial or lesser dragons, and perhaps she should reserve her judgment until such a time. So as we get to the chalice, we are ready to throw down. We're all a little frustrated, and we enter a fight with a cave giant who happens to be one of the members of the Steel Syndicate, particularly from Bad Company. And the fight's going okay, and then Callie forgets the main rule of Chalice, which is you don't fight to the death. And while Callie wasn't thinking, because she's still new to being a cleric and a magic user, she's used to being able to pull her punches. So when she gets up the nerve and finally gets off a very good inflict wounds spell, she accidentally kills him, much to her dismay, and is told by the Chalice that she's got a mark against her. One more strike like that and she will be forbidden from entering the Chalice. And she is very sad, but then Mo kind of catches everyone as they're leaving and asks if we can have coffee with him the next day. And that was the end of that episode.
Okay. My tea is gone, so I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay.
Okay, so episode 78, called Would You, Could You? Was Wayara's 25th. The party was all in agreement to meet Mo for coffee. Earlier in the day, Pip was doing some research on one of our loose end quests to go check out the mountain city that I believe was made by Goliaths, I think was what it was from. And so he went to the library where Ash, the storytime sentient sword, as he thinks of it, recently began acting a little differently, not telling as many stories about historical fables and legends, but has begun mentioning current events or things that haven't happened yet. And it seems almost prophetic. And Ash keeps mentioning a champion of Ash's, a champion of theirs that he has become the patron of, but doesn't say anything more in detail about that person. Primeheart was working with Callie at the temple to continue preparing it for bringing Amy in. GB put up his advertisements so he would be free to get coffee with Mo. Soxy went to go speak with Ezra, saying to Ezra that she was glad that Ezra had brought Oshin back and that the party was going to try to help people when no one else would, so that their Oshin's resurrection had value. Ezra appreciated what we do being for the greater good, but doesn't think that we understand that there are consequences to constantly using magic to solve all of our problems. And Soxy also apologized for not pushing Bridget/Nyx to go back to fulfill her promise to work at the garden in exchange for Callie's resurrection. Lark went to the Reynard estate and began a mural that he and tangentially Syl had been hired by Anika to do, to make the mural more subtle and less fox covered. But his plan is to do something where up close it doesn't look like it's a bunch of other things, but when you pull back it actually looks like one giant fox, which is ingenious in my opinion. Syl was repainting the wave pattern that she had very early on in the campaign across her shoulder when Dub came in and sort of very cryptically led her out of her workshop and to a haircut place where he then prompted her to pick out a haircut and for him and pick out a hair dye for him. And she picked out like this burgundy maroon color. And when he was all done getting his haircut, he reintroduced himself to her as Octavius and introduced that was his actual name. And that when he took her home, he said he wanted her to meet his parents, and that he had set up a time to go meet them that night, and that he had made sure that they would not be eating dinner, since Syl doesn't have to eat and her friends do that all the time. I have a downtime that's coming up in the next, like this week. I'm going to have a downtime up for how that evening with Dub's parents went. So still in the morning though, we show up at the tea garden, and Mo was already there. And so we got our tea, and Mo explained that he needed help figuring out whether or not he should join with Moira to become a Duodran. His people expected of him, and we weren't really sure whether or not they needed him to, whether it was some sort of biological imperative. But he was built to be a part of the great algorithm, as he was saying, that every million billion years or so they reboot the entire universe, and merging and becoming further monodrones is part of that process. He's worried about losing himself when he merges with Moira. He's just started liking and discovering who he is as an individual, and merging with another person to become a new individual could completely negate everything he's done. And he wanted to stay here in Cinderhaven and spend time with us and experience the city and life, and he just didn't know what to do. He knew that Moira, despite being technically mathematically compatible, doesn't really seem to get him, and he doesn't really know if he wants to be with her in that way. And he said that Moira was a more dominant personality than his, and so it would be unlikely that Dee Dee would want to stay in the city after they joined. And we told Mo he really needed to go talk to Moira and see if that changed anything about his hesitance to join, and to let that sort of play out. Mo decided to go do that. So we hung back, and we're still debating over whether or not how to become an adventuring party and what kind of adventuring party to be. We get Kurt Bramblenut overhears our conversation about whether or not we want to be an adventuring party under the city rather than joining the Birchfields or joining the Steel Syndicate. Kurt said that Afra spoke very highly of the party, and that there were regulations coming that would end up making adventuring outside of an approved adventuring party illegal to do so. So it would actually be a bit of a gamble to try to go it on our own without being sanctioned and paying whatever registration we need to. Arland was working to get magic items back in the city, but Kurt warned that there could be some new taxes coming that would take percentage of any treasure found within a certain range. So there's a lot of things coming down the pike that could make it a little more complicated for us to not be supported by someone. And the council was going to be meeting early the next week regarding land rights and adventuring regulations. So has that happened yet?
It has not. It has not happened yet.
Okay.
It's coming probably this coming week, which is one of the reasons why we were making a push to really kind of get an idea of what it was that we wanted to do.
I think they had decided a few things, but not everything. It was like the fee you have to pay is decided. It is the 10,000 gold, but I don't think everything was.
The 20% taxes has been decided.
Yeah, those have been decided, but I don't know if everything has.
Right.
So we decided to continue our research about what we should be doing, and we go to the ship where the Birchfield Seekers are to talk to Captain Merrill again, and get an understanding of what being part of the Birchfield Seekers would be like. We've met up with Captain Merrill. She said she was a little less than happy to see us, though, because she informed us that the king had had 3 attempts on his life since we were last there. And so she was a bit distracted as we were trying to get information about being a part of her group. we told her that Hasko's description of the Steel Syndicate didn't really jive with our pursuit of good, and Meryl warned that there were times that working with the Birchfields tended more towards self-improvement or working for the Birchfields' goals rather than just the natural good or just that order. She said that she liked Hasko. He was candid, not just honest with people, and that was refreshing, and she thought that was very valuable. Regarding us joining her, she was not sure about that because of all the attempts on the king's life. She wasn't sure she could trust them with joining up with us. But maybe once we resolve who was attacking the king, maybe we could start talking about joining up. She said that the king was awake and had mentioned Saldana, but only once. We asked to talk to him, and she said that the king had already paid the Birchfields for protection, so that she'd be keeping an eye on us while we spoke with him. We actually did get to go see Earl Goodsbury, no longer the king, and there was a very tense, maybe not so much tense, but just a bit of airing out that needed to happen between the party and Earl, that he sort of criticized us for maybe acting without all the knowledge that we should have had, all the information, and sort of rushing to a judgment without having everything we needed to know who was responsible for the ills that had happened to Cinderhaven, and understanding that he wasn't to blame. So there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of apologizing and non-apologizing on all sides. But it seemed like we were in general good terms, even though there was a bit of tension. We didn't want to kill each other, so that was good. The king, or Earl, claimed that he was being held captive by the demon that was his vampirism. He said he was not responsible for any of the acts done in Cinderhaven. And almost as sort of a show of good faith, the king talked about the keysmith and mentioned that his name was Donovan. So we got a puzzle piece slipped into place by talking to the king. Let me see. So the king believed that Imelda could be going insane now. Since Donovan is no longer in control of Imelda. Donovan apparently left the city. And we were given a description of Donovan, that he was a black-haired human who had an unnaturally long life. He confirmed that closing the gate should stop the Nocturne from basically existing anymore. We tried to make amends with the king, and he said if we wanted to make amends with him, that we should find Saldana. We told him about the fact that we had found Javea imprisoned in a gemstone, and that we found Saldana's ring, and we couldn't get in touch with her. And the king asked us to share a message with Saldana when we found her, which was, "I forgive you. I understand. I would very much like to speak with you." And the king was going to stay with the Birchfields for now, because they were protecting him under his pay. We know that Donovan had a strong ally in the Shadowfell. And so we had a bit more to go on with regards to dealing with the Shadowfell Gate and a bit of concern over Imelda's mental state. And then we had a little bit of like nice time with the king. Like, it seems like we're repairing that bridge a little bit, at least some people. Lark did not stay for the conversation, though. He seemed like he was uncomfortable with dealing with the king based on what had happened. So Lark went to Callie's temple. And my notes say Lark left because he was uncomfortable. Pip left because he left muffins in the oven. And that is why he left the ship. So they were at the temple, and a Furbolg showed up. He introduced himself as Pen. He said he was inspecting the temple in preparation for a delivery. And Penn was very incredulous at the idea of there was no cage, there was no manacles, there were no way to keep a nocturne at bay, as he seemed to imply. And there was a bit of disagreement on whether or not that was a safe thing to do, to just have a nocturne running around. So they delivered Amy, and Penn put on a half bracer as protection before Callie opened the carriage to let Amy out. Amy seemed like she couldn't really see Penn because of the bracer maybe that he had on. That could have been part of the protection that he was using. And Amy just immediately jumped into action and wanted to know where Earl was. Callie confirmed he was alive, but wouldn't say where Earl was because she knew Penn was still around and she didn't know if she could trust him. Amy tried to, sensing that there was someone there, Amy tried to find him and ended up pointing and damaging a building, like a little bit of a pew, in the attempt to find Penn, and Penn ran away. So they gave Amy a bit of a rundown after that about Earl being alive and Earl being on the ship and not being captured, just being held in protection. And Amy said she wanted to protect Earl and was willing to help get him out of the city. So they told her where she could find Earl. And Amy, I believe, just zoomed off into the air and flew towards the ship. Yep. So Amy showed up at the ship. Captain Merrill had been alerted to Amy probably showing up. Earl had told Merrill about Amy and her existence, and that she was pretty much okay to stay. And Amy said she would try to stop herself from sort of inadvertently alerting the other Nocturne to Earl's location. And they headed below to go check on Earl. Basically, the party left after that, and Syl and Primart talked about Primart having a theory that the description of Donovan was concerning, a human with black hair, and that sounded a lot like Dub. And Angela thought it was ironic that Dub had literally just changed his appearance. The episode we were given a physical description of this Donovan guy, but everything's fine. Then everybody goes to the workshop. Everyone goes to Syl's workshop just to sort of prepare for finishing up Mo's decision. Mo shows up in a full-length black dress, which va-va-voom, A+. And Mo said that he had made the decision that he was going to join with Moira. He said if we wanted to say goodbye, we could go to the tower, but they couldn't watch the joining when it happened. So we go to the tower. Mo says his goodbyes and heads upstairs. We all sort of twiddle our thumbs for a while. We make food. It's kind of all the stuff you do when you're like waiting for a baby to show up. You're just kind of like, okay, we need to have like lots of food around, and we need to like clean everything up, and we need to make sure like GB skywrote in the sky, goodbye Mo, welcome Dee Dee. So we tried to be as supportive as possible, knowing that this was a big transition, and we wanted him to feel as welcome. We wanted Dee Dee to feel as welcome as possible. But a lot of time passed, and then it didn't seem like the ritual had concluded. And GB went upstairs in the tower, and when he opened the door to Mo's room, he followed the sounds of crying and found Mo alone, crying on the floor. And Mo revealed that he had been rejected and that the algorithm had seen that he didn't really want this to happen. And so he had been pruned from his people. So he had been rejected and was possibly banished from his people from now on. So GB stayed with him and tried to comfort him a bit. And we're all sort of very careful to make sure that we support Mo and that we're happy he's here, but we know it's still kind of painful. So that was sort of the somber note that episode ended on.
Poor Mo.
I don't know how long my summary was. I hope it wasn't too long.
It was perfect. And for anyone who's very curious, my mother loves Mo so much that she literally threatened Logan if anything happened to him. And she does not watch the show. She just loves Mo.
Okay, so we all hear that. No one tell her if something happens to Mo.
Seriously.
Nothing can happen to Mo. It's fine. Yeah, that was just an episode that had a lot of talking. So those tend to be really long recaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of information.
So the next one is me.
Yep.
Episode 79 was Wayaris 28th, which I think is the last day of Wayaris. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. The characters were Soxy, Callie, Nathan, Rosie, Owen, and Finku. The morning started with Owen looking into the handmaidens of the Cord because we still had not freed Javea, and they're trying to find out more about her. Nathan went to train like he normally does. Rosie went to speak with Finku. She told him that she needed him for something important, but took him to Nathan's estate and took all the left shoes and tied the strings together and put his paintbrushes outside of the window, threw them out. I don't know. That was a confusing sentence. Okay.
Do not touch an artist's paintbrushes.
Yeah. And then she took Nathan's shoes to Mari's shop and hid them in his shop with Finku. And she asked what he'd been working on, and he didn't really tell her that he was making a gun. And she eventually convinced him to tell her what he's been working on, and he showed her what he had so far. Soxy worked like normal. Callie also worked at her new job, which was scraping barnacles off of boats, and also flirted with Doc Hands because Callie. And Owen went back to the barracks. Okay, this line says Owen went back to the barracks and discovered Nathan taking a break on his butt. That's all that line says. There's no context for that. I don't think I saw that part of the episode.
He got knocked on his butt by whoever he was sparring with.
Okay, I didn't know if he just walked in the barracks and Nathan was just sitting there for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, Owen went and found him. They went to. Everybody starts moving to the beer forge. Rosie and Finku arrived first and danced on the table together, and Swazi also showed up and danced with them for a bit. Which I was just thinking about Swazi today, so I'm glad that he actually showed up apparently at some point. Owen and Callie showed up, followed by Soxy afterwards. Callie was all wet from swimming, so Owen used prestidigitation to dry her off. They see a strange pair at another table. It was a dwarf and a halfling that both look kind of weird. Rosie wants to go over to bother them, but while they're talking about that, Callie goes over to say hello. The halfling kind of doesn't seem like he wants to talk to her, but she introduces herself, and the halfling introduces himself as Castern. A couple more people came in. It was a woman wearing all black with a veil, and who was a fallen Asimar, and the other person is a changeling who just stays in their true form with a circlet of thorns, and they carry a sword. Nathan asked about the sword, and the changeling looked away, so he kind of also looks away and asks about it. The woman with the veil introduces herself as Envaram and the changeling as Yin, and they say that they're part of one of the adventuring guilds, the Bad Company. They basically say that they would do pretty much whatever for money, like that's what their guild does, is they will do whatever, and challenges the group and challenge the group whenever they say something about being able to do that. and puts a kitten, a copper, and a dagger on the table. And Finku, he kind of hesitates. Callie gets up and leaves because she doesn't want to see what's going to happen, and finds that Binksy looking for waffles because he lost the cockatrice in the city. So she goes to help him find the cockatrice that is now walking around the city. When Finku hesitates, they kind of, the show, I think, was like the kitten wasn't real, and the bad company goes to talk and amongst themselves, do whatever. The group discusses forming their own group again, forming our own adventuring guild, which is just a topic of conversation pretty much every time we meet up. Like that happens every time.
It's almost like we can't make up our minds.
Right?
Yeah. Soxy
16
mentions
people. Hard to make up one decision.
it's weird. Soxy mentions that Kurt said that the council is meeting soon, so basically we got to make a decision soon. And they talk about Juvea trying to get her out of the gem. Binksy lets Nathan cast sending. Yeah, he tried to cast it to Saldana, which failed partway through, which meant either, like, she's unable to respond because she's not here. So they don't know. Anika walks in with two people and joins Bad Company. Bad Company eventually leaves, and Anika talks to Ivy before talking to the other group, or our group. She says they're lobbying their group in the Steel Syndicate. They're trying to get more for what their group wanted. They want more of what their group wanted, and they had something to sweeten the pot with her. Callie asked Anika if she heard about the Handmaidens of the Cord, which she had heard of, but didn't really even know that it was a real thing. They talk about the regulations set up for the adventuring guilds. The guilds that were coming to town wanted a lot, and the city was asking for a sign-up fee, which at the time they were talking about it being 7,000 gold, but has since been set to 10,000. And Anika didn't really know why we didn't just join one of the other groups, but and they decided to go to talk to Earl about the handmaidens after, because figured he would be the one to know. They arrive at the ship. Finku's really interested in looking around the mechanical ship, and Meryl offers to have him be given a tour at some point. Earl is willing to talk, and they go to talk to Earl. He says he remembers Javea's last name being simple, but doesn't really remember what it is. Amy stepped forward and said that she'd been told by Donovan to know as much as possible about the people around the king, and gives him the name Juveana Hargrave. Rosie used sending to talk to Javea, and it went through. She just didn't respond, which meant Solana was probably not also in a gym. Nathan stays behind to talk to Earl about that he wanted to kill Earl but doesn't want to anymore, and he forgives him. He's sorry for feeling that way, forgives him for what he did do, because he didn't do everything, but he still kind of did do some things. Yeah. The Chivs and the captain tell Finku he can come back whenever, come tour the ship. So the group leaves and goes to get the gem from Pimbles. And when they get there, they decide to move to Callie's temple because they don't know what's going to happen. So they don't want to just break the spell in the middle of someone else's house when he's not there. So they go to Callie's temple and they put the stone on the bed. Soxy puts it on the bed and says her name. And Juvea bursts out and said that someone had Saldana and described the members of Bad Company. And that's where that episode ended.
Yeah, that was stressful.
Just dun, 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 it's all over the place.
Dun, dun.
So episode 80, which took place on Famaris 1st, so the start of a new month, This episode had Soxy, Callie, O'Sheen, Nyx, Lark, Syl, and Seldana. So it started off. Oh, it's fine. They already know we're going after her. Lark started off the day with talking to the goblins and getting some headlamps and everything from them. Nyx ended up going to find Kurzal Earthwalker from the Shovel Tusks because they wanted to find out more information about Bad Company, and was basically told that Bad Company shouldn't be trifled with, and that if you were going after them for business, it was one thing, but if it was personal, then you needed to be careful. It wasn't going to go well. Callie went and spoke with Earl. She filled him in a little more on what we knew about where Seldana was, as well as just talked to him and trying to just be a little bit of a friend to him and form her own opinion about him, given everything that's happened. Syl worked in her workshop. O'Sheen went and spoke with Ezra and talked to him and thanked him for the resurrection and everything. And it's basically said they would try to stay out of trouble kind of situation, and Ezra wished them luck. Soxy just worked. Everyone met up at the Beer Forge and discussed what to do with this newest information. Obviously, Seldana's father was on the council, so we weren't sure if maybe she'd been taken because of that or for other reasons. Ultimately, the group decided to go talk to Anika, but also to talk to Rydell first. And Nyx in particular thought that Anika might have information since she'd already met with Bad Company, so it was kind of a does she know more than we do sort of situation. At the Erasmus estate, Stokes greeted the group. He recognized most of us from before and had us wait in the art gallery since Rydell was in a meeting with some of the other council members. Rydell came in and greeted us. He was looking pretty good, a little slimmer since the last time most of the group had seen him, but he looked okay, not unhealthy. And we started talking to him about Seldana and explained what was going on. He said he was willing to pay whatever he needed to and do whatever he needed to in order to get Seldana back safely. And he gave Soxy his signet ring to show to Bad Company so that they would know we had actually come from him. And we went to go speak with Anika. She didn't have a ton of information. She said that Bad Company had mentioned sweetening the pot if she was willing to do what they wanted, and that some of the things they wanted included things like lowering the initial application price for groups that already existed, having lower tax rates than what the city wanted, and letting magic items be sold everywhere so that the Sub-Rosarium didn't have a monopoly anymore. Those kinds of things, which pretty much all of the adventuring groups have been wanting. And Anika recommended that the group speak with Hasko to find out where to find Bad Company, and said she'd go talk with Rydell so the two of them could kind of put their heads together. The group went by Pinballs to stop and gather some of their things and talk in a space that was private. And O'Sheen mentioned having a lot of concerns about the fact that Bad Company might be involved with Imelda in some way. Because how did Imelda end up with the gem that Javea was trapped inside? That whole thing. And how did Javea end up in the gem in the first place? We don't know if anyone from Bad Company can cast the imprisonment spell. So there was a lot of talking back and forth. And ultimately the group decided to meet up with them, but say as little as possible. And basically just say that Counselor Erasmus had sent them and wanted more information on some of the deals that Bad Company was offering, trying to be vague while still get information. It's important to note at this point that the group was very split on this decision. There were a couple of characters that were very hardcore, like, no, we need to be careful, we need to be evasive. And there were some of us that were more on the, like, let's just say it and get it over with situation. But that plays out more later. We went to the Steel Syndicate's office to speak with Hasko. The goblins were all there working on the building. And in particular, Soxy, Callie, O'Sheen, and Thomas, so Nyx in Thomas form, went and spoke with Hasko. Syl and Lark especially because Foster was with them, were worried they wouldn't be able to maybe traverse the upper stairs very well because it was like beams across open flooring. So only the more dexterous people kind of made their way over there. They tried talking to him about the whole, Counselor Erastus wanted more information, but he basically could tell the group was being evasive and not giving him all the information. So ultimately he said, I'll talk with you downstairs, because he wanted all the information just straight out. So the group had to talk to each other and figure out if we were going to actually tell him everything. As we turned to do that, Callie tried to stay behind and talk to Hasko. Later we found out she wanted to apologize to him for how upset she had been when he talked about killing the dragon before, because she understood why his group had done it. But O'Sheen and Nyx, worrying that something else was going to be said, sort of jumped on her about it and told her not to say anything and not to speak with him by herself. And they were worried she was going to say something that was going to get everybody in trouble. So she ended up feeling hurt and insulted and stalked off and actually jumped down off the top floor down to the bottom. So Soxy was the only one that could go after her quickly and did. There's lots of talking, semi-minor in group drama, and then met up with Hasko again. There was some more evasiveness, but we gave him enough information that he did tell us that he would talk to Bad Company and let them know that we wanted to meet with them at the Bear Forge. And so on the way there, we're talking about what to say. O'Sheen and Nyx were both very adamant that we needed to not tell Bad Company anything about what we knew about Saldana or whether they had Saldana or anything like that. A couple other characters did point out that Hasko had said to be blunt with Bad Company and not to beat around the bush, but we were still worried about giving them too much information. So we were planning to be evasive and have O'Sheen and Nyx do the majority of the talking. Callie, still feeling frustrated and hurt, ran ahead and ended up sort of sitting off to the side so she could scout out the situation. There's a lot of intrigue in this episode. Some unintentional. Okay, Bad Company arrived and there was talking. They wanted to know if the group held Rydell's vote. And he had said he would do anything, so we were kind of vague about it, but basically said yes. And he said that in order for the trade to happen, he wanted Rydell's vote and the passage of at least half of Bad Company's demands. We continued to be kind of vague and gave roundabout answers, but based off the information they gave us, we were able to figure out that it sounded like they did have Saldana. They said they had someone for the city to blame, and a couple of other things that made it very likely that it was Saldana. We couldn't think of anyone else that it was at the time. But ultimately, the group left because they were tired with us being evasive. As we were leaving, more things and more group drama. The big thing was that O'Sheen and Nyx commented again on being unsure of what Callie had been planning earlier when she stayed behind to talk to Hasko. O'Sheen made a comment about Callie being reckless, which they later...
I mean, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
She had already told secrets earlier that day. I just want to point out, because I never got to point that out of game. She had told secrets earlier that day.
I know. Sorry, I had to cough. That's why I had to pause there. Later, O'Sheen did explain more of the reasoning behind it, and it made more sense. But at the time, we were all kind of like, what? And O'Sheen did preface that it was a very bad idea before they said it, but mentioned that one person that could also be turned over to the city to blame was Earl. And someone else may need to take over for a second because I can't stop coughing.
Oh.
We're all sick.
I'll cough down here.
All right, scrolling up. Callie was absolutely appalled that Oshin would suggest that, given that everybody knew that he was actually innocent, and given the situation where we've been trying so hard to keep him a secret, basically said, "What the hell," and walked off to leave the party, just completely frustrated. Soxy turned on Oshin and Nyx and basically said that they had no reason not to trust her, and that sometimes you can't beat around the bush in every single detail. Sometimes you have to play your hand to be able to move forward. And she said that they owed Callie an apology, and Lark and Syl left to find Callie, and Soxy and Nyx went to speak with Rydell. Oshin went home. Syl and Lark went to Callie's temple, and a few minutes later she came home carrying a bunch of chicken feed, and she agreed with them that things had not gone well, and they discussed going after Saldana, to which Callie, being frustrated, said, "Fine, if they're not going to trust me, I guess I'll have to give them a reason not to trust me," and said, "We're going after her," which Lark, of all people, tried to tell Callie that was a bad idea. And as we were talking about it, Callie went upstairs to talk to Javea, who was dressed in her gear and ready to go. So the party decided, all right, I guess we're doing this. So a sending was sent to Soxy to bring help, because we were going to go through with it, and to meet at Syl's workshop.
Cue Ocean's 11 music.
Yeah. Nyx realized that Soxy was asking a little strange and asked what was happening. And Soxy tried to be a little bit more sneaky about what was going on and flat out tried to leave Nyx out of what was happening.
She's not a good liar.
Nyx did manage to piece out where the group was going. And so everybody met up at Pinball's house, ready to go. Javea led the group to where she found the Saldana's ring, and we found a big warehouse with barn doors. Soxy, unfortunately, was spotted climbing up the building to look through the windows, and Envarum motioned to Soxy to come inside. So Soxy did try to tell the others to scatter, so it was just her. But Envarum already knew that the rest of the group was there. So finally there was plain speak, and the cost to free Saldana was 50,000 gold, which Rydell did not bat an eye at and said absolutely not a problem. So as we got back with the 50,000 gold for bad company, they opened up some boxes, and instead of Saldana, Jastra is laying on the ground. And the group paused, being a little confused, because that's not what we were expecting. And then bad company revealed that they also have Saldana.
Why not have a backup?
Exactly.
Seriously.
The group negotiated, got Saldana out, and filed away the information that was where Jastra was, so that they could tell Rydell afterwards. And we brought Saldana home. Both Stokes and Rydell were overjoyed to see Saldana. And when we told Rydell that Jastra was also being held, he immediately wanted to get her back as well, which Saldana was not a fan of. She did not care to get Jastra out. Clearly, she still had not forgiven her mom for what had happened. But Rydell said he would continue to bargain for Jastra's freedom. So, that's pretty much where we left off for episode 81.
Yep. Thank you.
No problem. Do you want me to continue going with this one?
Yeah, if you're okay with it.
Yeah, sure. So we picked back up on Femara 7th, episode 81, with Mari, Saldana, Pip, Lark, and Soxy. That was almost Loxy. Lark and Soxy and Callie.
I ship it. New crack ship. Loxy.
New crack ship?
I only ship things that the ship name sounds like breakfast food.
I like it. I'm into it. Sorry, I just saw Zach's comment about what's with my homies dissing my girl in response to that last episode, and I'm just absolutely tickled over that. So Rydell has continued to negotiate with Bad Company for Jaster's release, but instead of money, they want something very particular and difficult to find: a large diamond to perform a true resurrection spell. Callie left to go speak to Earl to make sure that he knew that Saldana had been released, but Meryl had turned Callie away, saying that the king was at an undisclosed location for his safety. And if Saldana wished to convey a message to the king in person, the king would be willing to meet with her. I'm so sorry. And beyond. Pip worked with Ash to build puppets for his storytelling career, as Pip felt that his stories were sorely lacking without such entertainment. Ash described his champion as having a broken nose, dark hair, a thick beard, and small scars on his face, so that Pip could create a likeness of his champion for his stories. Very, very... I don't think any of us know anybody who fits that description at all.
Nope, of course not.
Lark finished the mural with Scylla at Raynard Manor and has been conducting snowball fights with the goblins in Green Iron Village as playtime. And Soxy receives a message from Rydell saying we needed to talk so we could get Jastra back. Rydell asked Soxy for information into Jastra's character because he was very concerned about it. And the group said that and Soxy specifically said that both Saldana and Jastra deserved the chance to be free regardless of the public opinion. But while that is true, Rydell also worries that bringing Jastra home would drive Saldana out and potentially putting her in danger. Rydell said he knew of the gentleman who would be carrying the diamond, and that his name was Akamon, our favorite tiefling warlock. But Rydell confides, despite Soxy's concerns that it would not be an easy task to retrieve the diamond, Rydell confides that he's never been in love with Jastra, but he does love her and wants her back. And the best way to do that is to try and put our differences behind us with Akamon and move forward. And Akamon would be making a trade at Barge Bargains, and we were to meet him there. Soxy met with the group and gave over her concerns about the dealings with Akamon, and also spoke to Ivy about Jinroth regarding the Zozo Juice heist. But Ivy assures Soxy that the captain would probably be willing to let things go now that he's in politics. Pip arrives, and Ivy pays him a large sum of money for their new creation, Pip Tubes, which look like little powdered sugar pips. 10% of the profits are donated to the university library at Pip's request.
Specifically towards hand puppet purchases, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Javea and Soxy. Wow. Javea and Saldana meet us at the Beer Forge as well, and the plan to meet with Akamon is discussed, and the gang departs. As they're walking, sorry, low oxygen from speaking, Callie tells Saldana about the king's message and that he wants to see her, and Saldana says that she'll keep it in mind. Arriving at the store, they are met by Chicken Fingers, who is very unhappy that they're there. But we assured him that we weren't there for conflict, and he gets Akamon so negotiations can begin. Ultimately, Akamon wants the name of the person responsible for the death of his sisters, and we refuse to give it. But he would be willing to settle for a piece of his sister's body in the name of someone capable of performing a ritual to bring her back to life. In exchange for those, he would be willing to sell us the large diamond needed for bargaining for Jastra. They're staying at the Blackthorn Tavern, and we can reach them there when the time comes. In addition, we are tasked with finding a suitable dress to replace Red's poor destroyed dress. We go to the Beer Forge, the scene of the crime, to try and see what Ivy knows about how those bodies were disposed of. And apparently, a small halfling by the name of Hazamu Hidebu had shown up and collected all 5 of those bodies and paid Ivory fairly well for them, but also had left a sprig of evergreen with a bell attached saying that she'd been told to give this to whoever asked about the bodies and that they would know what to do with it. So, unwilling to summon Hazamu in the middle of the beer forge, the group goes to Callie's temple and rings the bell. As Mari gently shakes the bell, the windows and doors blow open, bringing in cold breeze, and snow builds up on the ground. A snowman pulls himself out of the pile of snow, and taking the twig and bell from Mari and placing it smartly in his hat, Hazamu appears. And he agrees that for the price of 1 night of dreams from each of the party present, they may have all of what he calls his flesh balls. Ew.
Nope. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a hard pass for me, thanks. So, with the bodies in hand, and we are able to identify Duella by her very specific horns, even as mangled as the body is inside the jar, Callie decides to speak to Afra about a person who can perform the ritual, knowing that Ezra had told the party not to bring this to his doorstep again. And during the explanation, Vassifra seemed really disappointed that the whole group didn't come to ask her, and seemed saddened that they seemed to be sending a proxy who had less experience with her, as much as she's tried very hard to set things right in her own way. She does write down the name of the person who could perform the ritual on a piece of paper to hand to Callie, and after leaving, Callie writes out, "Would you be willing to have tea, cleric to cleric," on a note, and sets it on her desk. Vassifra had made a point of talking that the party continually seemed to need things that she could provide, names, what have you, but aren't willing to give her the same amount of credit that they gave to Pinball, who was also in the same situation. So, with the name and the pieces of Duella in hand, the group headed to the Blackthorn Tavern to meet up with the rest of Akamon's gang. Pip tells Red that he is planning on helping replace the dress in the name of the clothier where they can go to get the dress, and that the color, which is very, very pretty and not a drab brown, seems to brighten her mood, because Pip has made arrangements that it could be any fabric and any color that she wants. It will be taken care of. Once Callie arrives with the name, the group shows Akamon the body, and in good faith, he shows the gang the diamonds, and they swap, and the payment is made, and the next thing we do is we run off to Bad Company for Jastra's exchange. Jastra seems a little out of it after having been kept in the cell for a number of days, but not entirely sure how long. And as the rest of the party leaves, Pip and Javea stay behind to try to figure out what Bad Company is going to do with exact 25,000 diamonds. And they determine that there is a locked door that needs to be opened. And I believe as Pip left, he just kind of said, "Well, we're fucked."
Yeah.
Letting Javea know that he suspects that it is the keysmith that they are bringing back, Donovan. As we get to the Erastus estate, Jastra questions Lark. She is so happy to see him, but was so confused as to why he brought her to the estate instead of Lark's home. She heads momentarily inside to talk to Rydell about making arrangements to go to Lark's, and so he understood. Only to reveal to a few party members that not all is as it was. There is a small telltale sign of Jastra being pregnant, in that there is a baby bump showing. To which
Whoops.
Callie and Mari very quickly explained that Jastra is pregnant to Lark, who seems very, all right, that's fine at the news.
Excuse me,
And
did you
then-
say explain or exclaim? Because I think either word
No.
was valid.
It was
Seriously.
Explained by exclaiming, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, Angela, did you just say oops?
I said, oops, what? I will say, giving Lark credit, he did overtly proclaim, I am very happy.
He did.
And he is
And-
not one to shy away from telling us his true feelings on the matter.
True.
No,
And then
that's true.
immediately started going through all of the list of the things that he needed to accomplish before the baby arrived, which was
We need to cover
adorable.
everything in bubble wrap.
We need to
No,
buy teddy
no, no.
bears. That was the
It was
first
teddy
thing was a
bears.
teddy bear.
Literally, the first thing
Yes.
was toys and teddy bears. It was adorable.
Yes.
Then we went to safety
Then we have
concern.
to pad everything. Oh god.
It went to safety concerns when Soxy said babies can fall out of trees.
Yes. Because they can. It's legit. He lives in a treehouse.
So the group leaves. Saldana is staying with her father, and both to be close to Lark and to not cause Saldana any worry, even though she's not entirely sure about living in a treehouse. Jasper goes home to Lark's place. And those who made the bargain with Hazamu do not dream that night, and the group suffers various levels of exhaustion. And that was the end of that episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of episodes in this recap this week where there's just a lot of things that happened.
I could do the next one. I wasn't in it, but I can read pretty quick. It's a pretty short summary.
Sure.
Okay.
Next one
Okay.
was a combat one, so
Yeah. So episode 82, Making Friends. But keep the old. The party was Lark, Callie, Owen, Oshin, Mari, and Saldana. That morning, Lark visited the goblins to tell them of the news about Jastra's baby and asked them to expand his treehouse, which the goblins were very excited about. They looked forward to being the baby's godblins. Callie delivered eggs to Jaspera so she could have a good breakfast. Mari and Saldana visited Pimble's to look through the things that were being stored there for Saldana. Pimble suggested they talk to Arland about testing a new item to relieve their exhaustion. Oshin chose to stay home when they left so that he could spend time with Pimble. Owen trained with the guard and was watched by Vassifra. He talked to her and she explained she might have found support for the group to become an adventuring guild. The support was from the Sub Rosarium, who would pay for the cost of the group to become a guild in the form of a loan. Repayment would be required within the year, and a few jobs would have to be done for the Sub Rosarium. They would also expect the group to lobby in their favor to the city. Vassifra told Owen that not all the council were happy with the idea of the group becoming a guild because they had stood against the city before. Some were okay with it because they knew the group had stood for a just government. Owen agreed to talk to everyone about it and get back to her. So everyone met at the Beer Forge and they discussed Vassifra and the agreement she offered Owen. While they agreed not to come to a decision, it was pointed out that the main issue with Vassifra was that she hadn't apologized for what she had done to Syl. Right? It was also pointed out that they didn't know much about the Sub-Rosarium and that they should try to find out more before agreeing to anything. They decided to stop by Arlen's before doing anything so that the people who needed it could test the product and relieve their exhaustion. On their way out, Aldeon entered the bar and told them that the ritual was ready to be performed to close the portal to the Shadowfell. They agreed to talk to Pimble after seeing Arland and possibly do that today. At Arlen's Alchemical Oddities, the group showed Saldana where the shop was. When she saw the holy symbols that they sold, she was excited and looked for one to Baal because she hadn't seen any to him before. Arland gave them what he was testing, which were small wafers labeled 1 through 5 that he called Slumber. He asked that the people taking Slumber record what they experienced. Lark offered to give him a painting that he planned to do while testing the wafers.
And Angela's dead.
I love you, Mike. I love your husband, Heather.
I do too. Yeah.
Arlen made the group sign consent forms and explained that the wafers had side effects, but should help make them less exhausted. The party decided to risk the side effects, and then they headed to Pimble's to test there because Arlen told them to take it to a safe place. At Pimble's tower, the 4 who were exhausted sat to take slumber. Pimble joined the group and brought scrolls to dispel magic in case something happened. They ate the wafers and all immediately fell asleep. After an hour, they woke up and all experienced a different effect, which I did see this live. This was glorious. Callie suddenly felt really lucky, like that she'd just succeed at things she tried. Binksy suddenly appeared on Lark's shoulder and was like, no, Nathan didn't send me here, but for some reason I feel like I should do whatever my good friend Lark wants to do. So Lark retained a temporary familiar. Saldana woke up and believed that she was a horse that had somehow gotten inside a tower. To which all the props in the world. Did Gabby actually do that little like... Oh, yes. I love her so much. She couldn't do it again. She got one out, though.
Yeah, she was laughing too hard after that.
Pimble and Mari were... wait, hold on. No, sorry. Mari, to my supreme delight, sank through the floor and fell through the bottom of the house. She had become incorporeal. She turned into a literal shadow cat, and I love it.
Yeah.
Pimble went after Mari, casting Featherfall on himself and then on her. Callie, Lark, and Oshin ran out after the two of them. Owen followed, keeping an eye on Saldana because she was still acting like a horse. Pimble and Mari were safe on the roof. After a minute, Saldana's mind cleared and she started behaving normally again. As the group started to go back inside, Saldana, the last one, heard a scream. She used sending to tell Owen, and everyone followed her outside. The party comes across a crack in the ground, roughly where the portal was beneath the city. 4 spectral spirits were connected to people. As the party fought them, the people connected to them disappeared. When they were finally dispersed, the party hurried back to Pimble's to check on him, and before they left, Lark yelled Imelda's name down the crack and heard a little girl's giggle. Fucking creepy.
Yes.
They found Pimble completely fine reading a book. They talked about the incident, discussed what Imelda was that Imelda was escalating, and agreed that the portal had to be closed the next day. The effects of closing the portal were also discussed. Pimble said that they had used divination magic to determine what would happen. Closing the portal would kill Imelda. There shouldn't be any effect on Oshin or Soxy. Donovan was most likely already dead. It would likely kill the other people affected by the portal's magic as well, and this included a young girl that Victor had worked with. Her name was Haley. Pimble asked Lark what he would do if he knew he had only one more day alive, because Lark was the most positive person he'd ever known. Lark said that he would spend it with someone he cared about, and Pimble gave Oshin a ring and asked them to marry him, even if it was just for the one day. Oshin said yes. Callie, who happened to have the spell prepared, performed ceremony for them, and Oshin and Pimble had just the fucking cutest little shotgun wedding. Sorry, not shotgun wedding. Finku hasn't invented that yet, but
true.
He's halfway there. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was real cute, and I scrambled to make up some vows on the spot, which
they were real good.
Hopefully, they were okay.
They were so sweet. I liked them. So that was episode 82, Making Friends and Making Marriages.
The effects of that spell are still ongoing because it still hasn't been a week.
Oh yeah, it's a week. That's awesome.
So much has happened. I keep being like, okay, it's done. No,
well,
if we get into a fight in Pimble's house, the next time I play, I will have a bonus legacy.
But you have
as long as it's within 30 feet of you, yes.
You have the unfortunate decision you have to make now of, do I drag my husband to battle with me for this benefit that I get?
I don't know, maybe Callie should ask Primeheart to marry her just so they could have an XP bonus when they're in the same
marriage of a marriage of mechanical convenience. I like it.
Hey, so you know how we're about to fight this big thing? You want to just like do the ceremony real quick?
Well, let me. I've
I've heard worse ideas.
I have a theory, though, that if Logan knew that's why you wanted to do that, he wouldn't let the ceremony finish. He'd be like, no, you are technically blaspheming. You're not allowed to do this. And you're not allowed to do it for 2 years after. You heathen.
Okay, so episode 83. Yeah, a great one is Famaris 9. It actually was good. The characters were Oshin, the Prime Heart, Nathan, Owen, Mari, and Soxy. I felt like I said Owen's name twice, but that's because I said Oshin, and I don't know. my brain stopped working there for a second. Soxy started by going with Mo to Arlen's to sign up for the slumber test because she still had 4 levels of exhaustion. She was only just now being able to move again, so she had Mo help her there. They took the Tabaxi cab, which was a rickshaw that Curzon was running.
I hate it. I hate it so much, but it's glorious.
He took them to Arlen's, and she got the last wafer. And the Tabaxi cab took them back to Mo's tower, and she took this slumber with Mo looking over her. When she woke up, Mo was asking her about sauerkraut because she was talking about it a lot, and gave him recipes, which he started to throw away whenever she said she didn't actually eat sauerkraut, but he kept them to look over them with Pip later on with the spicy log or whatever. So
I want to hear Pip talk about various varieties of caraway seeds.
I'm sure he could.
Soxy didn't seem like she had any effect from the slumber. She didn't see anything. She just kind of assumed it was the sauerkraut thing at the moment. Nathan and Mari went to the Skyroot Forest to Lark's treehouse to check on Jastra because Mari wanted to talk to her. Jastra didn't immediately recognize Mari because she hadn't seen her since she'd been reincarnated as a Tabaxi. And whenever she did realize it was Mari, she kind of seemed like she felt kind of bad for her. She's like, oh, well, you died and was reincarnated, but they did explain that she is still in Nicosta, like Jastra, and that's just kind of weird. And Jastra didn't really know that Nicosta did that, but also didn't know any Nicosta that had been reincarnated. So who knows? She admits she wasn't a good mother to her first child, so she's going to take the second chance very seriously. And he expresses she wanted, if they were to see Pimble, to tell him that she misses them and that they should get tea sometime. They did talk a little bit about the fact that she knew they were closing the portal and she may only have like 6 hours left, and she was going to spend them with Lark. And when they left, she was getting ready to do whatever Lark had planned. So Mari Druid crafted her a sunflower right before they left. Mari went back to her shop, and Nathan went to train without Owen. Owen was doing something else that wasn't listed. I don't remember what he was doing. Owen went and did something else that morning because I think he was there for that. So the party went to Stroop's, and Pimple went with them because Oshin went and had been married for like 6 hours, so just sticking with each other. And they finally ordered the Waffleopolis Binksy claim for the houses, and was planning on having it sit on Nathan's shoulder where he lived. But
I have a question. I was out of the loop. What the fuck is Waffleopolis?
A miniature version of Cinderhaven made out of waffles.
Made of entirely of
Okay.
waffles at
Okay.
Stroop's.
All right.
yes,
When we first met Binksy, he was inside one of the houses of a Waffleopolis.
Yeah, so he went back to go try to claim another
Okay,
one.
one, wow, that Waffleopolis is big. Other, wow, Binksy's small.
Both.
Yep.
So yeah, after Binksy claimed his house and people threw things at each other, I think someone tried to pick a food fight, which we didn't go through because we realized it's bad for literally everybody there but Soxy and Primeheart because everyone else has so much hair. They all went back to Pimples to gather what they needed for the ritual. Right when they were going to enter, Soxy kind of hesitated, but wasn't really sure why, but she went in anyway. Something about the portal, but didn't know why at the moment. Primeheart was given the urn as well as everything else. He was given everything else to perform the ritual. Pimple told everybody that they only had the party's loot and all the other magic items that he had been holding for people, because he'd been holding a bunch for some reason, were all returned because he wanted them to be back with the people that actually owned them, just in case something happened. But the party's loot stayed here because the house would be Oshin's if something happened to Victor with the portal closing. Soxy expressed her appreciation to Pimple for being really kind to her best friend. Nathan put a streak of glitter in his beard for solidarity. From a jar that had an arrow pointing down on it that he didn't put two together about. Oh my god. And Mari Druid crafted a sprig of the flower heather for protection. Pimple gave Oshin a sending stone to alert him when they were at the holy water basin so he could set up the ritual to distract Imelda. They talked with Pimple, who was basically told them don't say goodbye because they were going to see him again. And that's what everyone said, was that we'll see you again. And Pimple asked Primeheart to perform for his and Oshin's spring wedding, the actual one that had more than 3 minutes of planning. Right when they stepped out, Soxy just bolted from the portal and started climbing over buildings and just trying to get as far away from it as possible for 1 minute. No one really knew why, so they just kind of chased her down to get her and then bring her back. So yeah. Oshin stayed behind to talk with Pimple and promised to see him again and gave Pimple their holy symbol. And Pimple gave Oshin the only item that he had kept for the minute, which was the mirror ring that they had to find Bezel had kidnapped him for when everybody first met. They still had
memories.
it. Great callback. So the party went down to the caverns. When they got to the stone basin, Oshin used the sending stone to let Pimple know to start the ritual to call Imelda away. Owen gave everyone the water skin filled with holy water, and everyone took a drink. But when Soxy did, she foamed at the mouth and took damage. So, kind of sensing something was wrong, she used Divine Sense and picked up some sort of undead, but couldn't pinpoint where it was.
Yeah, every time I turned, it just started things.
Yeah.
She realized that that's what the effect that the slumber had on her, was that she was registering as undead for some reason. So they kind of tested.
I have to read this on stream. Fennec saying, you could almost say that Soxy was dying to know.
Fennec, why?
Because it was there.
Yeah. Yeah, they tested out hurting her with necrotic damage and then healing her. That was fine. She just registered as undead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nathan showed everybody that magical eye that he'd had that lets him see normally now, so he doesn't wear an eye patch all the time. So they headed down to the portal to start setting up the ritual. While they were setting up, they hear someone coming down the path from behind them, and they already kind of ready themselves, and it just turned out to be Amy, who was sent by Earl to help. So now my ringtone isn't playing. While they were performing the ritual, Haley also appeared. She told Mari that she forgave her for not telling her that she had died and been reincarnated, and basically said that everyone needed to catch up whenever they get back to the city. So the ritual got to, or it had about a minute left before it would finish. The portal had already started to get smaller, but a massive tentacles ripped through and opened, basically started to rip it open again. So the party fought them. It tried to drag Haley and Amy into the portal, but they were both freed. Most of the party was able to cast spells on the monster, but it didn't take any physical damage, only magical damage. Soxy did a ton of damage to it, though. Like, while they were fighting, it was kind of making noises and messing with people's minds. So got to the point where Soxy and Oshin both had gained 5 levels of insanity and had turned their weapons on themselves, and Amy had done the same. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
You missed this fight, clearly.
I didn't hear all the details, and all I keep hearing is everything's fine. Everyone's alive, and everything's fine.
No, it's fine. It actually is fine. I kept my rage because I was stabbing myself.
Hurting yourself?
It was fine.
Jeez. Oh, goodness.
The tentacles started to retreat. Eventually, the portal began to close again. One of the tentacles attacked Mari, knocking her unconscious with the one hit. Another one tried to attack Primeheart, but his symbol of Un began to grow and deflected the blow entirely and made him kind of question some things there. Soxy managed to kind of break through and act freely, and real clutch critical smite caused it to retreat fully, and when the portal closed, everyone's minds went back to normal. Yeah, Nathan also had 5 levels of insanity, but he chose that, so I accidentally skipped over that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I accidentally skipped that point because he cast Mind Spike and connected with it and chose to take all the levels to double the damage. So
yeah, so he did a bunch of damage to it, but he
did a bunch of damage.
He
did a bunch of damage. He just bumped himself from like 1 to 5 levels. It was fine. It was a whole new weapons.
It was fine.
Yeah. Nathan
Everything's fine. Fine.
Isn't great with weapons yet, so it would have been. It's fine. Mari was really quickly healed, and the party began to leave because they realized no one that was with them knew sending, so they couldn't check to make sure everything was okay in the city. Almost immediately, Amy collapsed and began to rapidly decay. So Soxy collected the parts of her body that were left to take back to Earl. As the party and Haley started to run, Haley also collapsed. Mari went to her side, and Haley told Mari basically she loved her, and Mari held her as she also died. Soxy picked up Haley's body, and so they can take it back to give it a proper burial. As they're running, Nathan also noticed that his shoulder was feeling lighter, and he noticed that Binksy was gone, and the sling was empty, and it was replaced with a single owl feather. They made it past all the rope bridges, and Mari turned into a horse to take Oshin back to Pimble's tower quickly to check on him. Mari and Oshin made their way back, got there before everybody else, and they went to the ritual room, which was empty. Only the chessboard was there. Oshin starts to try to use the clock again, but Pibble comes in from the other room, another room with champagne, and he's fine. The rest of the group catches up, and Pibble told them that Imelda was gone, and she put up a fight. They ask him to check on Jastra, which he does. Yeah, and they told him that she missed him and wanted to have tea with him. And he checks on Jastra and Vasifra. I almost combined their names.
I've done that a couple times.
And they find out they're also alive and fine. Owen offers Tamari to have the guard give her give Haley a funeral. Important to clarify there, because she was one of them. And Soxy asks Owen to borrow his boat to take the remains of Amy to Earl. Primeheart left to walk around the city alone, just to think about all the things that had happened that day. Nathan took Mari home. After she went to sleep, he cast Find Familiar and resummons his very first familiar, Mags. Soxy takes Amy's remains to Earl. He's really stoic about it at first, but like as he talks about Amy being his confidant, he kind of breaks down, and he tells Soxy that he had hoped Saldana would have been another person he could have trusted the same way, and he still hopes that she could be that person. Oshin stayed with Pimble, who basically told Oshin that he had told him that they would see each other again, and tells Oshin that they would have to propose to him this time, but he would say yes. And Oshin gives the mirror ring back and asks him, and Pimble says it doesn't count. So,
how dare you propose to me with someone else's ring, Oshin?
That I have to give back.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Owen also took off by himself. He went to the library and disguised himself as a custodian to get in. He approached Ash and talked to the sword about what had been done. Ash called him his champion and told him there's still work to be done. As he's talking to Ash, Holly calls out to him, who had followed him in, and said that she had never fallen for his tricks, and they planned to go out for coffee and for beer to talk about what had just happened, what she had just seen him do. And that was episode 83.
So not only
a milestone.
Yeah. That was a milestone, right? With the portal closing?
Yes, closing the portal was a milestone.
So Owen, not only a warlock, but a warlock with his patron being Ash, the Storytime sword.
Yep. Yes, but he didn't actually tell anybody about that. We
don't know that.
We don't know. I mean, we as players knew immediately, but yeah. Nobody but Holly knows about that.
Currently, yes. Okay, and I think I can do the next session. We'll find out in a second.
So fun. I can do it if you can't. I'm happy to do it.
Okay, because you were in that one,
yes.
Yeah. So episode 84 had Connor, Syl, Callie, Nathan, Primeheart, and our very first guest star, Jot.
Jot was amazing, and I loved
you. You went silent, Heather.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Jot was played by who?
Kyle Gold from Tavern Tales.
There you go.
Yes.
Yay, Kyle.
Sorry, I did say your name.
No,
I don't know why my voice cut out.
I saw it. It was just mouthing.
Yep. Whoops. Yay, technology. As my cat screams at me in the background. So in the morning, everyone was discussing what had happened the night before. Callie talked to Primeheart about possibly converting him over to the primal gods, specifically Un, who is life?
Nature.
That makes more sense. And he admitted that he was considering the idea. He also went to the Chalice and sparred with Nathan for a while. Callie spent most of the morning at her temple. Syl spent the morning with Dub working on a mural. And Connor tried to investigate the history of the city, because from way back when he used to be around more, but wasn't really able to get much information. Everyone met up at the Beer Forge, and it was absolutely packed, and partly because on stage was a band called The Shepherds, a folksy metal band playing their single hit, I Done Lost My Sheep. And on top of that, they had Zreet, who's our friend, but also a pigeon Aarakocra, guest starring in their performance, and she is usually performing as part of Bacapella, which is an all Aarakocra and Kenku band. Everyone showed up and was chit-chatting and catching up, and all of a sudden, a Quasit came into the Beer Forge wearing a sombrero and a mustache. And
real quick for the audience, explain them what a Quasit looks like.
A Quasit looks like a little mini demon with lots of teeth and sharp,
like long
pointy
horns
fingers and horns on its head.
He could fly around, I think was the other thing.
Yes. And they have little wings. But he came in wearing like a poncho and a sombrero and a mustache, and immediately started talking about doing a duet with Zreet, sang to the best of his ability, and the topic of his song was that he was looking for Nathan. And asking people, is anybody here Nathan? Yeah. Does anybody know where Nathan is? So eventually the group called him over and introduced themselves, and Jot was very enamored with Nathan's familiar mags. He said he'd been instructed by his mistress to contact Nathan about switching his contract from being with the King of Secrets over to a new patron, Jot's mistress, who was a devil named Jezebel. Nathan said he was interested in possibly swapping patrons and agreed to a test of his skills, especially after Jot said that Nathan's friends could help. They were instructed that they needed to retrieve an ancient sextant from a tiefling named Brimslug the Red in a place called the Salted Hollow, and figured out that it was actually the tunnel that the group hadn't taken yet in the caverns. So the Salty Tunnel. And before
Salty Tunnel.
Before going down there, Nathan went over to Pinball's and asked him some questions about Jezebel. He was actually going to go do research, but ran into Pinball. And he found out that Jezebel is also known as the Vulgar Muse, the Keeper of Crimson Marble, the Unspoken Imitation, and the Sanguine Dauber. And she is a fiendish patron of tortured artists, which is perfect for Nathan.
Emphasis on tortured, potentially, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, Crimson Marble. That concerned me.
Yeah, just a little. So Nathan joined back up with the group, at which point the entire bar erupted in cheers for him because Jot has been performing and making a big scene. So the group headed down to the caverns and specifically to the Salty Tunnel. And they found evidence that Akamon and the rest of his party had also been down there. If I'm remembering right, specifically there was what you later found out was an illusion, but there was garlic chicken fingers running away, screaming or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they went in, they found a half-sunken ship in the cave and ended up fighting a bunch of zombies and ghosts. They were able to get rid of them pretty quickly, and then they discovered Akamon's corpse floating face down in the water, so they were instantly concerned. Callie jumped in after him and discovered that it was an illusion. But the group still doesn't know exactly where the illusion came from. And the ship began to move, and all of the weaponry that had been left behind by the skeletons and ghosts that the group had killed came together to form this really large, hideous mouth that ran the length of the ship from front to back. And they discovered that the ship was actually a massive dire mimic.
Or a shimmick, as I was calling it.
Yes, a shimmick.
I like this shimmick. This shimmick was good.
Okay, this is exactly what it says in the notes. A few close calls, some mimic vor, and help from Jot with Nathan's warlock abilities, and we defeated the mimic and got away with some treasure.
You're welcome. You're welcome for that sentence.
It all comes back to vor.
All mimic activity is mimic vor. Come on, all of it.
I mean, that's fair.
Function with their mouth.
It's true.
That's fair. Akamon approached and talked to Nathan. Wait, what? Oh, Akamon and his group actually showed up, so not fake illusions, but actually them.
Yeah.
And Akamon talked to Nathan and revealed that he was also there for the same reason, to try and basically try out for Jezebel. And they discussed reviving Duella, and Akamon asked if they intended on reviving the friend we lost, who had been the original killer. And there was discussion about that. And Primeheart was still questioning himself on whether or not he should have revived her right away. But we don't know what would have happened. And then Akamon made his way into the cavern to do his test as well. Nathan ended up signing a contract with Jezebel, and Jot told him that Nathan would see her in his dreams for further instructions. Ultimately, Jot left on very good terms with the party, and Syl is now in possession of his sombrero.
Which immediately resized itself to fit Syl, which was fantastic.
I was totally down for wearing a very tiny sombrero, but this is nice too.
All right, guys, I'm just gonna give you guys a heads up. We only have one more session to recap, and then it's to everyone's favorite part, questions and answers, that I have put into a little bit of a Google chat or Discord chat with my co-hosts here, so we can go through those one by one. So just a reminder, if you have anything specific for, especially for Angela or Jay, who are not here every week the way that Heather and I are, please make sure you ask those questions so we can ask them directly.
Yes.
All right. This one is going to be a little bit of a quicker recap as well, because there's a lot of intrigue that happened, but most of it was listing things that we are not going to bore you with all the details of. It was stuff we just need to make up our minds about. So we wake up on the morning of
called the HR episode.
It literally was the HR episode. And our mornings are spent doing what we do best. Primeheart hangs out at the estate. Rosie spends some time down in the sewers. She was kind of overwhelmed by everything, so she took a couple days off, walked away from everything, left her stuff behind, and just had a little zen retreat. And was in a great mood. Oshin spent the morning at home with his husband, and then went to the nature temple and also to Arlen Estates and Supplies. Finku spent some time working early before spending some time with Daisy and heading to the beer forge. When we get to the beer forge, Rosie is performing and having a wonderful time. She's having a great day, and she joins us at the table for us to fill her in on what she's missed over the last couple of days. Although they do not mention the death of Haley until they're in a quieter, more private place. After they talk about what the plan is for the day, the group decide to talk to Pinball to see what he knows about the Sub-Rosarium, and then to meet with Vassifra to get more information from there, as well as meeting with Hasko and Meryl one more time to really get as much information as possible so they can make the most informed decision possible. While they stop at Pinball's, Callie and the group very gently break the news of Amy and Haley's death to Rosie, who takes it incredibly hard, which is understandable given how Rosie feels about Haley. She was planning on talking about her feelings for Haley right before it happened, and so she goes off for a little bit to mourn quietly. Eventually, Callie goes after her and comforts her and tells her that, it's okay to be sad and that loving someone is the most brave thing you can do. And even Callie is scared of it. And Callie's afraid of very few things, but falling in love is one that terrified her. And it's okay. And it's okay to have those feelings, but also reminds her that the most important thing that Rosie can do right now is to love herself rather than looking for that in other people. And to be honest with herself, even if she doesn't think that it would change the way someone feels about them. It's important to be honest about it. Rosie asks if Mari's doing okay, and Callie tells her that Mari is hurting too, but they spend a few minutes together comforting each other before returning to the group and heading to the Divine Foundry. Callie goes up to Vassifra's office, the Divine Foundry, to arrange a meeting, saying that given that there are so many of us, that we figured that being there all at once would probably be detrimental given the space requirements, which Vassifra was very touched by. The group thought of that and agreed to meet with them immediately in one of the conference rooms. The group discusses what the Subrosarium is looking for, which is, as Heather said earlier, doing a couple of jobs for payment within a year. And it also is hashed out more that the group says that they will never stand for the Subrosarium against the city, that there is a conversation about the contract being made and being over in a year if the groups are not amenable to continuing a advantageous relationship. Callie asks whether the items that are being sought are made from airshell, which they are not, although the Subrosarium's group is still doing work with airshell, which concerns Callie a bit. Vassifra says that they are trying to work with smaller pieces, and Callie accidentally lets it slip that she knows of some veins of raw airshell that are being protected in the north. In fact, when she realizes she's not told Syl yet, almost immediately after. Because, oops.
It's okay.
But we also know that those veins are being protected by Callie's order, and as it is right now, there is the verge of war already breaking out with the country to the north. So if we do these jobs for the Subrosarium, one of the things we will have to do is go to the north to find an item very sneakily so we don't accidentally spark a war between the two countries. And the other item is out in Lamina Island. However, Vassifra does say that the group just has to attempt to get the items, giving it our best attempt possible, and we will not be held accountable if we are unable to retrieve the items. Callie does say that a olive branch extended to Syl directly from Vassifra would probably go a long way to repairing the relations between the groups. Vassifra says that she will reach out to Syl. Afterwards, as the group is leading, Oshin goes up to catch up with Vassifra and asks who PM is, the initials on Pimble's clock. But Vassifra doesn't know who that person is, and suggests that Oshin just ask Pimble themselves. The group next goes to the Seal Syndicate to speak with Hasko. Callie sets up the meeting with Hasko, also apologizes for the way that she had reacted to his dragon comment, which he kind of dismisses. And while they're talking, she meets Novus, who is from another perspective group called the Valkyrie. And Novus is a very exotic-looking Aarakocra with red and orange and yellow feathering up into her head all the way down to a deep black at her tail. Hasko suggests that next time Callie asks Novus to show her magic trick, which after meeting Novus with the rest of the group, Hasko asks her to show it off, and as Novus is leaving, she bursts into flame, walking towards the door, revealing that she is a one-of-a-kind phoenix Aarakocra. And the Valkyrie's deal is that men are useless and are not allowed in their group. So they have to be winged, and you can't be a dude. Callie suggested Zarit might be a good person for them to look into if they were looking for more people.
Not to be that person, but That's hot.
Yeah, it was.
Literally.
Yeah, Callie was like, all right, hello. But then again, Quinn isn't Callie like that, so that's really not much.
Callie's perpetual state is, how you doing?
Pretty much. Hello. Haskell again meets with everybody and says that we kind of had passed his first initial test. A lot of people don't come back after he gives them the bleaker picture, but does stress that they are essentially driven by money. That is, their goal is to get rich, and it's not a bad lifestyle. He expects a 30% taxes back from his group, basically because 20% goes to the city and 10% would go back to the entire syndicate's coffers. We are able to pass on more jobs than he had initially let on, but it is harder for him to find work for people who pass on jobs like that. He does say that since our group is so varied, it would be fairly easy to find jobs that we all can do. And he also doesn't expect us to work hand in hand with all of the other members of the Steel Syndicate. However, if we are in a situation which becomes life-threatening and we are nearby, we could be called on for aid, and it is expected that there is a bit of aid given. There are more details to these. However, I am not going to go through all of them. Otherwise, we would be here for another hour while I just did all the nitty-gritty of each individual situation. So
we'll let you know when we make a decision.
We'll let you know when we make a decision.
Yeah, we haven't made one yet.
Yeah, we're pretty close.
Quite yet.
We have a no.
We are close. Yeah, we have one that's a definite no from everyone, pretty much.
Yeah. Speaking of, we headed out to the Birchfield Seekers boat. Callie, being her swimmy self, chucked her shirt off and dove into the water. And as we get down there's a fishing tournament going on, so boats are in scarce demand. Although we do find a gentleman who has a boat. It is bright yellow and shaped like a banana. We were able to rent it for 2 silver for the entire day. So, the banana boat is rented. And Callie swims alongside the banana boat and is just very amused the entire time. So they get out to the ship, and Meryl agrees to see them immediately. Then they talk about what it means to be a part of the Birchfield Seekers. Meryl seems to be a little bit bitter, saying that it is difficult at best. When you work for the Birchfield, you are not your own person. You go where the company tells you, when the company tells you, and you stay for how long the company tells you, regardless of who you have waiting at home. And when you are higher up in the organization, there are rules against relationships with subordinates. And when you're the captain of the ship, everyone is your subordinate. And therefore, you may as well just not be in a relationship. She mentions that people leave their family and friends behind. And while people are extremely loyal to their crews, and it is a lucrative business, your freedom is pretty much gone when you're working for the Birchfield. The group is very much not enthused by that, and Meryl mentions that she's going to go celebrate what would have been an anniversary by going into her cabin and drinking herself silly for the rest of the day. So the group rather disheartened, and most of us checking that one off our list as a no thank you, given that we wouldn't really have many choices on whether we stayed or went in the city, moved on. As everyone headed home, Callie, O'Sheen, and Primeheart went to go see Pimble, and Pimble assured Primeheart after being asked again that he could not sponsor the group as a adventuring guild because it wouldn't be appropriate given his relationship as advisor to Rydell. Pimble also offers to reveal his final secret to O'Sheen if they're okay with it, if Callie and Primeheart know, saying that it could be important should something happen. So the group heads out to the balcony where Pimble takes note of the candles and the way that they're blowing, and steps off the balcony and walks on what seems like the ground. And then a few moments later, the wind kind of shifts and Pimble hurries back, and the ground disappears, and once again, it's the city below. Basically, the experimentation that Pimble had done with the air shell to try and make his house floating all the time misfired a little bit. So his house both exists on the street and also above the city at both times. But where it leads to out on the balcony is dependent on how the candles move. So you can tell if it's safe to jump off to the street from the balcony or not, depending on the wind and the temperature. It's a little colder. As Callie and Primeheart depart, O'Sheen asks Pimble about the clock and the initials PM. And Pimble said that PM passed away 17 years ago, but they were very special before O'Sheen. Rosie goes and spends some time with Mari before attempting to send to Haley, and then only remembers at the very end that she just can't do that anymore. And that is where we left our heroes.
You know, in a pretty good, comfortable, happy place.
We're all
Well,
alive.
We're alive. We're okay. We can kind of function.
There's just a lot of us
Kinda.
that are also sad.
Yes, there are a lot of sad folks right now. So
I
instead
feel
of
great.
yeah, that's true. That
Alright.
is very true.
Shall we palate cleanse?
Let's
Indeed.
palate cleanse. Indeed, let's palate cleanse with something a little bit fun. So I'm going to pull up our questions, and I did not do a great job about keeping track of where these questions were from, so I apologize in advance, because sometimes it's just not possible for me.
Wait. I think Tessa dropped out of the call. I heard a bloop bloop bloop.
Oh. Yeah, we lost to Tessa somehow. Okay. Well, while she's figuring...
go.
Oh, there we go.
I was trying
I'm
to.
so sorry. I'm not sure what happened.
I didn't know how to articulate. Call back. Get back on the call.
I went and clicked into Discord and decided that I didn't want to open it in the Discord app. I wanted to open it on my desktop, so it booted me from the call.
Oops.
Oh, I've done that before.
So I'm very sorry. That was not what I was intending to do at all.
Technical
so sorry.
difficulties. It's fine.
That is obnoxious, and I apologize.
So, you have questions.
Yes. Our first question comes from Fennec, which is for Jay. Jay, were you a little sad that O'Sheen came back as a furbolg?
Okay. For half a second, I thought O'Sheen was going to be a Minotaur. I was really excited about that because, like, the nose and the furry ears, like,
Thought that
oh my
too.
god! And then he wasn't. Well, I was like, you know what? That's fine. But a Minotaur would have been so cool. But like, I'd had the thought while I was waiting for the ritual to be done and everything. Basically, a lot of what O'Sheen knows is basically tying back to I am going to test this out because I'm a furbolg and furbolgs like nature or whatever. So it's like that kind of throws a lot of O'Sheen's sense of identity away. It's just not being a furbolg anymore. So that would have been kind of hard, interesting to deal with, kind of hard. I don't know. I think that would have been kind of cool, like, to work with, but also I'm glad that I didn't have to suddenly go in and change my entire character sheet and relearn new abilities because I'm very used to that.
As a DM assistant, I was glad.
Yes.
I was glad on behalf of me and Caden about. Oh God!
Because I
only had
basically
changed her
play
color.
every other. I basically play every other day, so it's like, yeah,
That
yeah.
had to
You
be
didn't
done
get,
right away.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would have been cool to be in another race. I think I'm glad Oshin specifically stayed a Furbolg because it's important to Oshin. But yeah, I had that moment of disappointment where I realized it was not a Minotaur, but I was very excited that it was still a Furbolg.
The universe just needed Oshin to stay a Furbolg for some reason. I kind of like that vibe of like, there's a reason and you need to stay this.
It's probably what Oshin thinks.
I don't think Pimble would have minded too much. I mean, if you were a Minotaur, he does love his beefy boys.
He would have looked up and just been like, upgrade. Finally, all of Pimble's Dragon Age Inquisition fanfic can come to life.
The self-inserts where he's Dorian.
Yeah. He is. He's such fucking Dorian.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, he is Dorian. I've had this thought many times.
If Dorian discovered glitter.
Basically,
The glitter. So much glitter.
Always glitter.
Forever.
Though I'm passing a lot of it out, I have to spend some of my hard-earned gold to buy more glitter. Because I'm keeping tabs on which ones I've given away or which ones I've used, and I'm like, I'm running out of here. I got white and gray and I think purple left.
you can get that good expensive glitter now.
Right? I have enough gold now. I could get executive glitter.
That's true.
Glitter. All right. Do your characters prefer coffee or tea, and why? Angela, you're exempt. We know you prefer lemonade.
But I can have a. But it did not say
kidding.
to. It did not say to
kidding you.
drink. So
Of course it did
I have
not.
my
I
reasons.
was teasing you. All right. Well, what are your reasons, and what do you prefer then?
Tea, because it's very floral and smells very pretty. And can smell as strong as coffee, but coffee tends to smell all the same to her. And we spend so much time in the tea garden. It is a sense memory at this point of like, oh, this smells really nice. Plus, really warm. Like tea and coffee, both. She would just hold a mug if she could.
A++.
You can use tea to like dye things, stuff like that.
She would use coffee more as a paint than she would use a tea for. That's what coffee's good for. Is for staining
That's true.
things.
That's fair.
Very true. Jay, what does Oshin prefer?
By itself, probably tea. Coffee with like whiskey as a warm drink for winter time. But like there's more kinds of tea, so that's always fun because if you just kind of let everyone else order at the tea garden, you never know what you're gonna.
Very true.
That is true. I don't know what Soxy would prefer. Probably tea because it's more plant-like than the coffee. I feel like the coffee would possibly be a little too strong for her. I'm trying to picture a beetle on caffeine and it's not pretty.
She's a jitterbug.
Oh God.
I love it.
I'm so proud.
You should be. That was amazing. Callie prefers coffee. She enjoys tea. She thinks it's very nice, but she is very much a coffee person and enjoys the strength and kick of coffee. She does not drink it black. She is very much put some sugar and cream in it. I want it like a coffee milkshake. But
Syl can just hand you out of a bag of sugar cubes. She's keeping around.
Yeah, pretty much. She'd just be like, and there we go.
Syl's a horse, is what I'm saying.
Sugar is good. We understand. No, Callie is definitely a coffee person. Though she knows Primeheart prefers tea. And he grows very good tea. She very much is more of a coffee with a shot of whiskey, please.
Fair.
do we think there is going to be any long-term effects on PCs after fighting the Cthulhu portal monster? Something like maybe lingering madness. I hope not.
I hope not.
Fine, 'cause
I
want
would
to be
say
involved.
we would know already because, but no, we probably don't know already. That's being
It's
too
Logan.
hopeful.
Yeah, you can't assume that.
On that note, I wouldn't have even read that question out loud because that is clearly just fodder for
So
Logan to
I
have
did have
ideas.
I did have the thought that it would mostly because the two that I got hit really hard with it were Soxy and Oshin, who character wise makes sense that they were the ones that got hit real hard with that. And Nathan
You're not helping us.
And Nathan let himself be hit that hard, so that doesn't really count. I was assuming that was going to be a thing that happened anyway, to be honest. Like, didn't matter what we did, it was going to happen anyway.
We're still in the arc called Loss, so just,
we're
sit
not
tight.
done yet. We are not out of the. We are not out of the clear.
That is true. Wait, did we start a new arc or is it still Lost?
No, we just hit a
So we are
milestone
still
within
in
the arc.
loss.
Just a milestone inside the arc.
Yeah.
No, we're not done.
But no, I was assuming if there were going to be, I don't think we gave any ideas, and if there were going to be, they would be to the people that also happened to be hit with that the hardest, because I'm still not convinced that the portal closing did nothing to Oshin and Soxy because of everything, their whole thing.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
So what
They didn't think it was going to, but we don't actually know.
So what do we think about Nathan's new patron? I, for one, love her. I love her so much. It's so perfect for Nathan. I'm super all aboard. Although I really wanted Banksy to stay and or Jot to stay because I love them both. I'm super excited.
Also, only a few people know this, that I was sincerely considering joining up and signing up for she's a patron, you guys.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it's just no. This actually will play into one of the later questions that I saw on the list, but I decided not to dip into Warlock, even though I did talk to Logan about what that would entail.
Awesome.
I haven't met Jot. Soxy hasn't met Jot. But based off what she's heard, she thinks she's going to dislike this patron a lot less. She thinks this patron's probably going to work out better for Nathan and for the group.
I mean, the idea that you get horrible nightmares if you displease your patron, and she
but
gives
potentially
you the hardest
sex dreams
block.
if you do good. I mean,
Kelly's like, where do I sign?
Kelly's signing up too. Like, Jot just got everyone on board with this, apparently.
He had contracts for everybody.
He did. He had contracts for everybody.
That was my favorite interaction with him. Was Syl
How do you spell your
going,
name?
how do you spell your name? No, is it a general contract or are our names on it? Oh, your name's on it. What's your name? And I was like, Syl, S. Is that an S? As a C? Damn it. I mean, there's a typo on your contract you'll have to fix.
Great, I loved it.
God, I cannot recommend everybody go check out that episode. That episode was fabulous.
If you're going to watch any episodes, watch 83 and then was it 83 then 84 because you'll need Jot after.
High and low.
83 was good, very good, but
it was very, very good. Please, everybody, if you have the chance, go check out Tavern Tales. It is amazing. Kyle Gold is a delight, and we are looking forward to hopefully having him back soon because, oh my gosh, that was fantastic.
And we all joined the Kyle Lective. Wow.
We joined the Kyle Lective on our private Discord. All of our names became Kyle for a day.
We are Kyle, we are Legion.
Yep.
Indeed.
It was awesome. And he is amazing. So he deserves all of the props. Just the sheer amount of just going for it, and the prop comedy is A++. Logan and I couldn't breathe.
Intentional and unintentional prop comedy.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was so good.
Yes.
So Kyle Gold can be found at taverntales.ca on the interwebs. So go check it. And he also does a Tavern Tales Junior for those who are looking for more family-friendly things. And Jot does make appearances in Tavern Tales as well. So I cannot recommend it enough. He's an amazing person. So our next question is, whose backstory would you like to dive into next?
Owen can't keep secrets forever. I need to know all of them now.
No, Owen's on my list.
Yes.
I really, like, from a purely meta standpoint, between the two jobs that the Sub-Rosarium might send the group on, I'm most interested in Lamina Island because I really want to see more for Pip and Soxy. They're very much the fish out of water, and I would love to see them experience their homelands.
Yes.
Not that Soxy is going to remember what it was like,
but that is
left.
I mean,
but,
Pip,
but that is an
Pip
experience
also
that people get to have.
Yeah, Pip also wasn't with the Feroche, I don't think.
But there's a
I
chance
think
potentially for them to
don't
find things out about themselves.
I agree.
Yeah.
I am very excited for a potential to go to Lamina Island. I really want to know what's going on with Owen, because there's also a potential Callie tie-in as well, because we're both from the north. So I'm very interested in that, and I want to see where that goes. Although Callie, I think, is from way further north than Owen is. But I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Also, Connor, I want to...
Yeah.
Connor's just a walking MacGuffin. I really want to know.
Yeah. What happened to him while he was in the Undermist? Like, we still have no idea.
All of his friends.
He showed back up the same age as when he disappeared, and no one knows what happened to him. There's a whole long list of things that we don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good backstories to explore out there, and I want all of them.
Yes.
I want all of them.
I'm biased, but I also would really like to find out more about Lamina Island specifically. But that's partly because we have to.
I have a Pinterest
Make
board,
it.
Heather. I'll share it with you.
Yes.
You want to see it.
Kyle, Gabby, and I have been talking because we kind of did the initial.
Can I say
stuff.
Can I say a phrase to spark your interest, Heather, in my Pinterest board? Avatar: The Last Airbender hybrid animals.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, based on what happened to the Feroche and the Chitin, stands to reason that other weird shit would happen to animals there too.
Oh yes, yeah. We have some ideas for that.
This is not a world.
We have to discuss it, but it's going to be interesting.
I will say that one of the things that I would really like to do is there's a lot of, this is slightly off topic and I apologize, it just kind of popped up into my head. There's so many musical people in this cast who derive enjoyment from or inspiration from music. You were mentioning your Pinterest board. I would love to do a cast Spotify list for our viewers, and so people.
Oh, for each of the characters?
Yeah, for our playlists, for our characters.
I have one started. I have one started.
Yeah, me too.
Callie's is changing dramatically because a lot of it I kind of put on there is when I didn't really have Callie very fleshed out, so I'm working on revamping her. But I would love to put out a list somewhere on the website of like the player.
I propose that be a World Anvil entry.
Yeah,
yes,
we can write out descriptions for why we put songs on there, because some of the ones on Oshin's need descriptions to explain them, because they're like pre-stream, like he's not this sad about this thing anymore. It's other things. It's all depression pop. It's fine.
Yeah, we should do that though. I have a list partly already compiled from everyone of their Spotify lists. So we would just have to grab those links and move them over. But yes, we should do that.
I think that sounds like a great idea. And great idea, especially with World Ember going on right now with World Anvil. That could be a very fun article to put into the World of Veil. If that's something that you guys would like to see, our viewers, please let us know. I don't want to be barking up and making barking up a tree that nobody really wants, but I want it for me.
Yeah.
All right. Another question.
Oh, Tessa, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but it occurred to me, so you mentioned World Ember. One of the things that we're doing right now is adding the episode summaries to our World Anvil rather than to the Nerdsmith site. We'll have them still accessible on the Nerdsmith site, but they will go to World Anvil. So you can find summaries of all the episodes we just talked about, and we're going to be filling in the backlog, and going forward, it'll be on World Anvil.
We'll get more detail, and because even for us to go into as much detail as we do, it took us almost 2 hours to do 10 episodes, and I know we didn't go into everything. So we do play 5 nights a week, 4-hour chunks every session, and a lot of times lately we've been going over because of how heavy and intense the sessions have been getting. So please do check out our World Anvil, and more information will be going up there, and more information about player characters, including some bits about their life before they were adventurers, are up there, as well as
for some of us.
Odds. Well, I mean, for those of us,
some of us have written all that we can.
Yeah. Some of us have a lot of unknowns written into their info because we don't know.
And that's totally okay. All right. Another question from Fennec. Since 3 of you have yet to multi-class, Syl, Oshin, and Soxy, why is that? You do not have to share if you do not want to, is the caveat that has been put into that question.
Because I'm kind of torn on it. I have ideas about what I would do if I did. I've got several, actually, more than probably assume based on what Oshin is doing. But one of the ones I thought before stream actually would be really cool would have been to do Monk, but that's not going to be one that I do. I just thought the idea of like punching really good would have been fun.
Yeah.
Because a Monk Barbarian would be really fun.
I always hope to one day punch really good.
I don't know. I took a feat to get what I wanted from Druid, so I like kind of have done what I was thinking of doing at the moment. I still have a couple of other ideas of things that I want to do maybe along the line. It could be because I recently found out that Oshin can multi-class into literally every class but Wizard because my stats because my only stats that aren't good enough are Intelligence and Con, and the only class that uses either of those is Wizard. So I don't know. Who knows? I could do anything.
Anything.
And for Soxy, just given the way she is with everyone and how worried up until recently, there were several fights where pretty much Soxy just healed because everyone kept getting hit and she didn't want everyone to die. So there was definitely a period of time where I considered multi-classing into Cleric. There's 2 problems with this. One is all of our Clerics came back, or people became multi-class Clerics. So at this point now, she doesn't feel the need to do that as much. She's actually getting to hit things instead of having to heal everybody. It's a nice change. The real problem is that my wisdom's an 8. So Cleric, not so much an option. And in terms of the other classes, I just don't know that there is one that really would fit her. Like, I could see her dipping into one of the other fighting classes, like Fighter or Barbarian or something, maybe.
Action Surge and Second Wind would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm considering it, but I'm looking into it a little more before I decide if she's going to, because some of the upper class Paladin abilities are pretty nice.
True facts.
So Syl, I think part of the reason I haven't done any multi-classing, I haven't actually planned any multi-classing because, one, it just hasn't felt natural for her to do anything different. She's pretty comfortable with the kind of person she is. Also, I know some people do multi-classing to get a little bit of variety in what their game style is, and I'm finding that I have so much to play around with from an RP perspective with Syl that I'm happy to have a simple. I already have enough with like multi-attacks and shit with Barbarian that I don't need an extra complication of something else right now. I'm really enjoying the fact that I have a pretty straightforward character build. And if I multi-classed some of my subclass stuff, will take longer to get to. And so I'm actually really looking forward to some of the stuff that Syl can do later at higher levels. So I am happy with her as a barbarian right now. I think she's got so much more going for her from an RP perspective that I don't feel the need to mix it up that much.
Yeah, that was gonna be the other thing I said is the next totem spirit that I take, I'm very excited about because it's gonna be very good when I have it, because I'm doing a different animal again.
Nice.
So why not? But and the level 20 barbarians can have a 24 strength. I'm excited about that. But also everything the Oshin would multi-class into is incompatible with being a barbarian because they're all spellcasting classes, and I can't do spells when I rage. I can do magical effects, but I can't cast spells, and the level 1 abilities for the classes I was thinking of is spellcasting. So it's like, cool, I can be a cleric, but I can't heal in battle, so sorry, sucks. I could be a druid, but I can't heal, so it sucks. I don't know.
It does.
Question though, Fennec?
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't know if Chad is still here in chat. I haven't seen him for a bit, but he did ask what is the sound of one hand clapping, and I think it's just this. So
I'm okay with that.
We love you, Chad. All the Uggs to you. Sorry.
It's beautiful.
Another question we got was, what do your characters do for hobbies? We all know you have jobs, but what is something fun that your characters do to relax? Prime Heart?
I was going to say pinball.
Callie is very much into her chickens. She is she's very happy being a chicken mom, and one thing that she likes to do that she doesn't really talk about a whole lot is she loves playing cards. She likes to just play solitaire with herself. It just helps her think.
That's
It's a very boring hobby, but it
the
helps her
mundanity of
process
it is charming.
Nice.
She likes to raise her chickens and play cards. So basically, Callie's a mom from the Midwest who has a little bit of fun on wine nights.
I love it. Syl does what she enjoys doing. Like she works at the job that she's super passionate about, and she's not really beholden to anybody, which is like the most cool thing about it, is that she can just paint and then go to parties. Like, she hasn't done a ton of parties lately, but she has a nice little nest egg. And probably hanging out with Dub and trying to navigate that. Because he's an odd duck.
I do love their relationship.
Yeah, I'm having such a blast writing some downtimes for them. They have an interesting... I mean, I don't talk about it much. I mean, it's probably pretty clear on stream that Syl's ace and Dub's like okay with that, and they just have a different set of standards by which they spend time together, and I really enjoy planning that stuff out.
In terms of hobbies or things that she does to unwind, I've always kind of imagined that Soxy doesn't have a lot she does, but since she gets the employee discounts for the spa, I think that on days when she's not around as much, one of the things she probably does is goes and just relaxes at the spa. Because why would she not?
Her hobby is not thinking.
Yes. Exactly. Her hobby is I'm gonna sit here and relax and just hope everything's fine out there. I trust my friends.
Oshin had started gardening mostly at the nature temple, but like whatever, it's not the middle of winter, might get planters for the patio or something, because Oshin now knows it's actually outside sometimes, and it's not just like inside a house, which was really the main reason why it wasn't done yet. They'd also been kind of trying to learn magic a little bit on their own by like learning druidcraft. That was basically how I had thought of that coming about, was basically, I don't know, I hang out with druids all the time. Maybe I can do this too. And it's kind of like practicing and failing at it probably for a while, but now knows how to do it. So it's, yeah. So just gonna have to like figure something else out to do now. It's like, I know how to learn spells now. So, okay. Learn something else. Yeah. But mostly, yeah, it's gardening. It just hasn't been able to do that much because it's snowing. You can't really garden when it's snowing.
I will say, playing Callie was my attempt at getting away from playing the party mom.
How's it going?
How do you think it's going? Don't have us die hard, guys. But she's like the fun party mom, so maybe that's a step of a direction.
Is it terrible that in my head it was all I do is res no matter what?
Yeah.
Callie's the mom who lets you drink at home because it's safer that way.
Yeah.
Yes,
you're Amy Poehler and
100%. Yes.
Yes.
Yep, that's
I'm not a regular mom, I'm a cool mom.
I'm a cool mom, yep.
Indeed. Yes.
You girls gonna drink
There
because
you
I'd
go.
rather you do it in the house.
Okay, I like that. Zach says that Callie is the party aunt.
There
I'll
you
take
go.
it.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
take it. It's my step away from being the party mom.
There we go.
For some reason, it keeps happening. I don't know why. From Joe, the last 2 weeks have seen quite a few of emotionally heavy story beats. As players, what are some of our favorite or most intense emotional moments we've seen in the campaign so
Seen or felt?
Goodness.
Goodness.
No, God.
Yeah.
Can do both.
I've cried a lot in this campaign.
But like in a good way, right? Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have an example, but go ahead.
No, please do, because I have to think of one I can't.
My favorite thing that I experienced was when Syl had a falling out with First and the other Goa, and she cried and told him that she was sick and scared, and I got off the call and cried for a solid 20 minutes. I was like, but it was like, I started laughing, and Andy's like, I don't know what to do for you right now. You're laugh crying, and I don't know. But it was, just that wrecked me. I didn't know that was going to come out of my mouth, and it really, it just wrecked me. It was so good. Because it was nobody's fault. She was just sticking to her guns. That's the worst part, is when there's not really, we keep falling into those situations where there's not a complete good or bad decision, and it's just a difference of opinion, and you can't solve it. And that's the real tragedy of those moments where it's just like everyone's just trying to do their best for what they believe in. And yeah, those wreck me.
They're hard. There's been so many good moments.
There have been. If we're doing everything and not just the last few weeks, then I know exactly what Soxy's is. It's when Mari died. That whole situation, because she felt responsible, because she wasn't sure if it was her hit that killed Mari or if it was the crushing from the creature that killed Mari. She didn't know, so she just felt horrible, and that I didn't realize how much I was going to get into it until when Caden popped on the call and I had to tell Nathan. Soxy was telling Nathan, and I just broke. And I was fully in the moment. I think I was even clutching a notebook to my chest, like Soxy was clutching the bag of holding because she didn't want to let go of Mari. And it was just very powerful and incredibly sad, but amazing at the same time.
Try not to go for the obvious, because it's not actually the obvious ones, which have been a lot lately. But I've cried multiple times and I have cried in D&D before this stream once. That was another time my character was watching the person they were with dying. So
I think the rule is just stop dating NPCs.
Yeah, well.
It was a PC, but it was another wealthy person. But it's fine. It's fine.
Another super wizard.
Yeah. She was a rogue. It was fine.
Well, I mean, a wealthy rogue just means a successful rogue. So
True.
Very true.
Yeah. I think the hardest one was the conversation with Ezra, because I had to keep talking and I was having a hard time doing that because that was getting really, I don't know. I was like, I didn't realize that was another one. Like, I was saying it and I was like, okay, this is definitely Oshi, not me. I did not realize that she was this sad. I knew she was sad. I didn't realize it was this sad, and I didn't realize it was to this extent about all of this. So, yeah. Then, yeah, that was just thinking about how things were going and everything. Osheen is happier now, but yeah, as a player, that one was the hardest for me to play, basically, because did not realize it was going to be that intense, like, at all. So, yeah.
Gosh, honestly, I have to say that for my personal moment as a person, it was honestly with Pesk after we found out everything that had happened, and it was the moment where we heard that Earl had been innocent, and Pesk just had this moment of, I can't be here anymore. And it broke me. I was just, and I mean, that's one of the reasons I haven't gone back and played her is I realized just how much all of that just completely shattered Pesk as a person. And she was just like, I can't do this. And it was funny because I'd always kind of thought of Pesk as being this person who could handle like anything comedic, whatever character, let it roll off your back.
Rough and tumble, kind of.
Rough and tumble. And that happened, and it was just, I just realized, I'm like, she can't. I argued with myself mentally for like a week and a half after that. And that was what led to the decision to bring Callie in, because every excuse that I tried to give myself for her being in the game, after that, I couldn't make it work. She was just so broken by all of it. More recently, I think one of the most powerful moments, oh god, there's been so many good ones. One of the more powerful moments for me is Osheen's resurrection. Just that moment with Logan performing Pinball's part of the resurrection ritual.
That was
fucking hell.
Oh my god. My husband is
Oh.
a real good actor, you guys.
I didn't fully
It really hurt.
I didn't hear it basically because I don't know, my head was not here at all for most of the resurrection. I had to go back and also I was responding to the DMs, so my attention was split, so I didn't hear anything. So I went back and watched it the next morning, and so I got my cry the next morning for that.
Oh. I need to go check with Logan and make sure that they found pink glitter everywhere for the next 3 months.
Exactly.
Yeah, the one that I wasn't involved in directly, it was sad, but there was something really nice about it too, was Mo getting left behind. I felt sad, but at the same time there was feeling bad about feeling good about the outcome, but knowing that he's in so much pain,
At the same time, being happy because our friend is still here, and he didn't.
Yeah, there was a lot of mixed emotions, but it just transcended into this really lovely moment. And that's me saying, Logan, you're fucking great at your job. by the way.
Yeah.
I know you
seriously.
can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he can hear you too. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Mari
So good.
Mari dealing with Haley also was really, out of everything that has happened in this past week, that was really, I was stressed as well about other things, but that was really what kind of made me in tears as well. Was she was so upset about it, like understandably
Yeah.
so, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
A nice moment that was kind of intense that I really enjoyed as Callie was Primeheart and Callie looking out as being the only two people to go and see the construction of the new boat lift.
That was a cute moment.
When the Fae were redoing it, and Callie and Primeheart being the only two out there watching it, and that was a cool moment for me, even though it wasn't sad, but it was intense in a different way. So I really enjoyed that one.
There's just at least
so many
5 moments an episode.
Right. It's nonstop. It's all real good.
Yeah.
Logan, if you are interested in sharing in chat what one of your favorite or most intense emotional moments for you has been, I'm sure people would really, really enjoy hearing that if you are willing to put that out there, or you can DM me directly and I'll share it.
Sure.
Yes.
I cried happy tears when she got married. That was the time I cried and was happy about it.
Aw.
I love that. I love that a lot. I was really sad when Binksy left.
Yeah. I love Binksy.
I love Binksy.
After the fact, I was sad about it. In the moment, I was like, okay, that's sad. I'm panicking.
Binksy had like 3 hit points, you guys.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
There's lots of really good things.
I'm going to try and give Logan a few minutes to respond to that if he gets a chance. If he doesn't, no big deal. We'll move on to we have 2 more questions. And then we can go to our ships. Do you think now that Nathan has a new patron, will the King of Secrets come after us now?
Yes.
Oh.
He called the ones we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for anyone not watching chat right now, that's tough for me. There have been so many. Toss up between Oshin's wedding, Oshin's resurrection, and Mo's loss. So those were all real good.
Yeah.
Those are all good moments, yeah.
So what's our next question?
Is the King of Secrets coming after us now that the portal's been closed and Nathan has
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not giving not giving Logan ideas. He's coming after us. Like,
yeah, so that's just fact.
Repeatedly.
Yeah. No, we've done pissed him off real good.
Well, there's still the fact too that Victor broke the geas that he had put on them.
Right.
And the secrets they're not like out to the public,
He's
but the
not so
secrets
great.
are out. So
He's not so great at keeping those secrets now, so he's probably pissed.
Yeah.
I don't know what the nature of Nathan's warlockness is. Like, if you hop, skip, and jump over to a different warlock patron, that doesn't necessarily mean you're completely unplugged from the other patron. So just because the keeper, or just because the King of Secrets isn't directly connected to this plane as well as he was before, I don't know if that doesn't mean that Nathan still can't be fucked with. I would imagine that it's kind of a situation where the Jezebel would be like, "Hey, lay off my boy." But I don't know. I'm curious to see how that dynamic plays out.
Me
it
too.
should be neat.
It'll be interesting.
Given that Dub has drawn that picture of the King of Secrets,
my boy, leave my boy alone.
Sure that there's not a connection there somehow, so it worries me.
So I had a different idea about that. We can talk about that if we talk about like theories or whatever.
Crack theories, go.
Go ahead. What's your theory? I want to know.
Oh, yeah. He's not connected to the King of Secrets. He's connected to Jezebel. That's why he does all the art stuff. Because he's a poet and he paints or draws.
I like that way more.
I like that.
That's a cool idea.
Especially because he doesn't
And-
always
yeah.
remember.
I
doing it.
assumed he was connected some way to the Shadowfell, so I got a little like heart palpitation when it was like anyone connected to the Shadowfell gets fucked, and I was like, oh no, but everything's fine. So I am very happy for my theory to be wrong.
I think it's Jezebel. If not, he is now. If it wasn't before and he is now, I don't know if I'm sorry because that isn't necessarily terrible.
I need to ask Logan. One of the things I haven't clarified with him lately is, has Dub been having any more episodes? Because there's a couple of factors involved with his, like the idea that he was having poetry like spewing out of his brain during dreams, but then he started weaning off of what Syl assumes to have been daydream, and he stopped having dreams, and he started doing this sort of lucid waking, like blackout thing. Okay, Logan says yes, he's still been having his little like bursts of drawing. So if he had stopped, then it could have been Shadowfell or King of Secrets involved kind of stuff. Like if the connections were
yeah. I think it's Jezebel. I think he's connected to Jezebel somehow because that thought literally popped into my head like on my drive home or something. I was just like, oh, hold on, that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of things Jot said sounds like Dub.
Well, there's a notable lack of dirty pictures, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, the tortured artist thing, though, and especially the fact that she communicates with you through your dreams.
Mm-hmm. No,
absolutely. No, that's true.
No,
it does kind of fit.
Either we're on to you, Logan, or you're welcome, Logan.
Yeah, pretty much. Porque no los dos. All right, we will wrap our question section with a very fun one. And I'm not sure what you meant by this one, Zach, but so please clarify if I am interpreting it wrong. Who are your main picks for the inevitable in-game snowball fight? Are we picking teams or are we picking the winner is what I want to know.
Yeah, that's an important clarification.
I assumed winner.
Who is winning the inevitable snowball fight?
Lark's getting a lot of practice. I was gonna say maybe one of the barbarians, not Lark. It's Lark.
I think Soxy would do okay. I feel like she could have her vestigial hands making a snowball as her other hands throw one.
Man,
that's true.
That's awesome. Still do real good at the top, but once her clothes started getting soaked with snow, like how when you play in the snow, you get real cold, she's gonna fuck out. She's gonna be like, nope, I'm done. I'm gonna go get some hot cocoa and just hold it.
From a cold
standpoint.
Oshina's
a very big target. Oshina's a very big target. So
probably not. Behind Oshin. I'm done. I don't want to get hit with any more cold, hard snow.
From a cold standpoint, Callie has an advantage there because she is resistant to cold damage as a Triton.
That's true.
Swim through the snow.
Exactly. And she's pretty loose and limber and able to dodge things pretty well.
But Pip can burrow.
Sanctuary and patient defense, I'm fine.
Pip can burrow, though. He can hide away until it's his time to strike.
Oh my god. Pip could burrow himself like a snow fort for him to hide behind and throw things at people.
He's got the white fur, so you wouldn't see him anyway.
That's true.
Well, no, we're asking, like, is there going to be like a 6 feet of snow blizzard, or is it real low snow? Because I don't know how good he'll be at digging and tunneling through frozen dirt. So it's either very advantageous or very.
I don't know. He dug down to Trey pretty easy through that frozen stuff.
Well, that'll happen. That's inevitably going to happen.
That will be fun. I'm very interested. Most Party is Friday. It is Loomis. It also happens to be Yule, which I celebrate, so I'm very excited that it kind of paired up that way because I'm a dork and I enjoy that.
Speaking of, who's got their costumes for the costume party planned?
Me, except I can't I don't know that I'll actually have time to dress up because I'm coming from work.
Oh, I didn't mean like real costume. I meant like your character's costume for Mo's costume party.
I had an idea.
I blew my idea on the last costume party. My Syl Pimble costume.
Soxy has a real good idea, and she's having Callie help her.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I don't know. Someone has to tell Callie that naked is not a costume. I don't know. I will come up with something.
So I don't think this is what I'm actually gonna do, but I just came up with a really fucking great idea, which is a couple's costume where Syl and Dub are, in that order, Gomez and Morticia Adams.
Oh my god! Fuck yeah!
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Syl paints a little mustache on, it'd be really good.
Little pinstripe suit. That'd be smart. Anyway, I really need to stop breaking the fourth wall with my costume ideas.
I had an idea. I feel like Oshino wants to match Pinball, and I don't know what the match would be for my idea. So it's fine. I'll figure it out. I don't know.
Oh, I just figured it out. I'm done. I'm good.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Still
All
a
right.
couple's costume, but
I am very tempted. If I can get away with it, I am going to try and dress up in an actual costume for the stream. I don't know how well that will work unless I'm a unicorn, and then no one will see my face because I'm just going to put the unicorn head over mine, and just that'll be how I stream that day. It just will be terrible for sound quality.
I could be Pinball again.
I'll lend you my
Oh,
beard
could be.
and my wig. I will not be Matlock Mercer again for the party.
That was really good.
My
though.
home
I
is
enjoyed
still
your-
covered in glitter.
It was
Can't.
really good.
Can't do it.
Okay, and now we get to the ships.
Shipping time. Anybody
So
anyone have a
'cause-
new ship we have not heard before?
Not really, because so much has happened to the ones that are already there. Like so much has developed for.
Yes.
Yeah.
If Meryl were older, I would say Connor and Meryl. But that's what happened 100 years ago. Not that old though.
Oh wow. I will say Connor, we didn't touch on it, but Connor did go back to Callie and Prime Hearts on Friday night. So.
Oh, you mean your OT party?
Yeah.
The OT party, yeah. Because that's right, he picked up Nick's on the way. So there was a
Yes.
there was a time that was had. I don't think it'll be a regular thing though. It's probably just like this has been a weird day. Let's make it weirder.
This has been a weird day. Why stop now?
Right?
Seriously.
Holly Owen. I am.
Oh
pretty-
yeah.
I kind of like Holly Owen. Yeah, I like it. And then I don't know who I would ship him with, but I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with Earl.
I will be very honest. I still kind of ship Earl Saldana. I know it's a long shot and very kind of crack, but I kind of ship it.
I could still see it happening potentially.
Yeah, if Saldana talks to him and
I really hope
maybe
she
eventually.
does. I really hope she does.
I understand why she isn't right now, but
Same.
But also, he gave her a Pegasus pony. You can at least say hi. Come on. Where is your pony, first off?
Where is the pony? That is the big unanswered
Where is
question.
Tony? I also ship Jot and Mags. Kyle. Jot and Mags is my new OT minion.
OT minion. I like
I
it.
think it's
And Max isn't really an owl.
No,
I mean,
she's a fiend.
so
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It doesn't.
They're both
It's fine.
fiends. They're both about a foot and a half
Nathan
tall.
could make her into an imp, and everything would be fine.
Yeah.
Make her
And
into
now
a closet, too.
they both serve the same patron. They both, because Mags was part of the deal.
Yep.
Yeah, technically. Yeah.
Possible. It's possible. I now have theories that for Tavern Tales, this is my own headcanon. that when Jot is on Tavern Tales and he goes off to do his own thing, he's visiting Mags. It's a long distance relationship. It's totally cool.
Now I have "It's Possible" stuck in my head. It's possible for a sombrero wearing Quasit and an owl to be together. It's possible.
It is now. What other? I mean, Dub still is pretty well established, and we're very.
Oh, that's not even a crack ship at this point.
No, and Lark Jastra is back on.
Yeah, I'm excited.
With a locked down situation.
Yeah, there is a bun in that oven, and it makes me happy.
Possibly more than one. We don't actually know yet.
That's true.
Oh, geez.
Stroop Ivy is adorable.
Yes. Even
I like
as
that one.
business partners, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. I like Stroop Ivy.
Red, anybody?
Yeah. Well, Red's married to Mickey, canonically, but, you know. Han Solo and Waffles, that's fucking adorable. Oh, God. I don't think that's physically possible, but I like it.
The cockatrice and your...
And my chicken.
Well, I mean, the cockatrice, the owner of the cockatrice is now gone. So the owner is now Nathan, and I don't know how excited he is about having just a cockatrice at his house.
Primeheart has already said, no, we're not adopting Waffles. I'm not allowed. He doesn't want chicken statuary. So,
Fair.
that's okay.
Yeah, that's Nathan's pet now. Nathan's other pet.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, question. Now that Oshin and Pinball are married, are y'all getting that cat to awaken?
Yes, Jay, have been thinking about that for a while because I don't know which direction. I was thinking of like, it would be really cute to have a little kitten or whatever. It'd also be really sweet to like an older cat, like it can't really chase mice or whatever. But that would also be sad because it's an older cat. But I had been thinking about that. It's probably, I'm gonna think of something sooner. So my current thoughts on that are Oshin is talking to cats, trying to find a good one.
I love it. I love it.
You should talk to Pip, because when he feeds them the fish crackers, they show up in droves.
Oshin can just talk to cats. Like, I
That's
have to
also
cast
true.
a spell to understand them, but I can just talk to cats and they'll understand me.
You come home, be fat, lazy house cat. Come with me. Come with me. It'll be all good. Perfect. I am trying to think of other ships that I have that are, I mean, obviously, I ship Pinbolg forever.
Yes.
Hardcore.
Indeed.
I still love Glitter Giants. Soxy, who do we ship with you, my friend?
No one, as far as I know. I don't ship Soxy with anyone at the moment.
Crack ship, Soxy Jinroth. I'm kidding. Like I can't even get behind that. I can't even. I'm like, no.
Not even joking.
No.
Okay. Soxy Zekthor Fettles. He was clearly enamored with you.
No.
He's a bug chaser.
We're gonna be going to Lamina with him, so
Oh, his middle name is Clark.
Syl liked Lark for a hot second.
Really? There was a lot of early Cell Lark ship.
When she heard all that kerfuffle with Jastra, she was like, "This is done. Okay, all right, I'm going."
Aw.
No, it's fine. It was totally fine. But yeah, there was just a little bit of that.
Yeah, because that was early on.
I can get behind Soxy Curzon.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Badasses.
Okay, at least in terms of personality, that one I could see more.
Also,
Kyle, Jezebel, and Syl. That's endgame. Syl's gonna be around for a long time.
Yeah, it's sad to think about the fact that Dove's just a human, but
That Syl would be Nathan's stepmom.
I love it.
yeah.
Oh my god.
See, I just like this idea of a D&D patron who is all about like sex and manipulation and like dungeony stuff, but just like the OTP is this really pure, like sweet person.
I
Palate
love it.
cleanser.
Oh my God.
I love it.
That's a hilarious mental image.
I
though,
like that. Because that's the second time a PC is another PC step parent.
Oh god. That's so true.
I love it.
I have this
Kyle,
great
no! That's not fair, Kyle. That hurts. That hurts deep inside.
That's
Tara,
not
you
nice.
owe OTP.
Oh. Yeah, I can't think of any others right now. Who do I ship Rosie with now?
I agree with Fennec. Happiness.
Well, yeah, happiness. That's true. I want Rosie to be happy.
I don't know.
I still kind of like the OT3 of Finku, Rosie, and Daisy.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
I'm just saying, she has at in-game been told, I don't know, just talk to them if you're really like them. Like, we've been pushing for this.
Indeed.
Some
Yes.
of us have been, anyway.
I mean, I will be very honest. Callie does not see the issue here. People are allowed to like and be with more than one person. You just have to talk about it.
Oshin keeps telling people that. Oshin's not doing it, but keeps telling people, like, Nathan feeling sad about wanting to date Mari. Like, just, okay, so what about Tybalt? Just tell him you're going to ask her. It's fine. You don't need to be so sad. Rosie being sad. Just ask. Like, just talk to them. It's fine.
Yeah,
No one
that's
cares.
true.
It's fine.
Soxy's just been avoiding all the relationship discussions because she doesn't know what to say to anybody.
Y'all
She's
are
like,
crazy.
nah, I'll be over here.
I'll need Adalox.
I will be. Oh my god, that was amazing.
Did I say it right? I tried.
Adaloxley.
Adaloxley, okay.
I would. Rosie Ivy. Maybe. I think a deeper friendship there would be nice. I don't know. Ooh. What about Rosie?
Ivy Callie. I think she's just playing hard to get.
Oh, I'm 100% here for Ivy Callie, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I don't think
Doesn't
so.
seem like it.
Mm-mm. That is a hot dream in Callie's brain that will never ever come to fruition. Doesn't mean she won't keep trying every now and again. But Callie also has the inability to speak in any sort of honest sounding way that isn't couched in innuendo and flirtation. Callie Primeheart is a big thing right now. Callie and Primeheart have both said they are open to exploring other partners as well. Callie is
Right.
super poly. Callie is the more the merrier. There is more than enough love to go around. So, yeah, they don't mind.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what all happens. Ooh, I just thought of a ship. Zreet and Novus.
I'm super down
Oh,
for
yeah.
3 Zobus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like this one. Yes.
We're getting some new NPCs, so we'll probably be able to, like, do things with new NPCs soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, not this
Can I ship Bad Company with disappearing?
Yes. We are shipping Soxy with the Tabaxi driver.
Logan must have missed that part.
Yeah, we're shipping Soxy and Curzon right now. Who do you ship, Logan?
Now we see if he answers us.
Who do you ship Ivy with? There we go. That's the big question.
That's gonna be the big thing that gets held on to until, like, the last episode.
Who gets Ivy? You ship Ivy with pit tubes?
I ship Ivy with fiscal responsibility and a successful small business.
Yes.
That is expanding. Kyle, I also ship Tessa with Logan.
Yes, I think we all do.
Just like I ship Angela and Andy and Heather and Mike.
Speaking of shipping Angela and Andy.
Oh, that's right.
Flower.
We were on the director's call the other day, and he brings her a flower.
In a
Freaking
sake
adorable.
bottle, so there's
It's
like a nice
so
little bit of
cute.
mixed messaging there.
Oh, ouch.
What makes
Wow.
you think any relationship is good enough for Ivy? Fair point.
Yeah, that is fair.
Ivy Novus now in my brain.
The only one good for her is a flaming Aarakocra.
One of a kind flaming Aarakocra.
Indeed. Ooh. Can we ship GB with Oshin's future awakened cat?
Yes.
No.
He discovered that he likes cats.
So I'm gonna be GB's step parent.
No, you cannot ship Ivy and the King of Secrets. That hurts me.
No, I veto that.
What if Ivory is the king of secrets? Dun, dun, dun.
We've made a terrible mistake.
Kyle, the flaming Aarakocra is a phoenix Aarakocra. One of a kind.
Yeah.
Her name is Novus,
So if
and she
Ivy's
was a
the
badass.
So if Ivy's the king of secrets, what does that make Cicely? Like, how did she do this?
The mother of secrets? I mean, yeah.
What did Hobbs get himself into?
Nothing he couldn't handle.
He's fine. Hobbs is fine.
Everything's fine. Hobbs is fine.
Hobbs is living as an old man and named Matthias.
He's just in the wizard farm upstate. Everything is fine.
God. Apparently, Kyle has already chosen his next guest character.
I think he means a flamingo Aarakocra. I think.
Oh
was a
my
typo.
god.
I've had that exact idea
would
before,
be
and I
amazing.
think someone should play it. Yes, or a peacock, an actual like peacock.
Oh man, a
Big
peacock
tail.
Aarakocra that just
Peacock
just
Aarakocra
goes
would be hilarious.
prismatic. I like it.
Yes.
I'm glad he enjoys the flamingo Aarakocra.
I
Emphasis on flame. It's an evocation with it.
Nice.
I do like the idea of Patsy Rosie.
I do too, but we haven't seen
Patsy's a
Patsy
girl.
recently.
I know.
Or-
Gotta visit that good goblin boy.
I mean, I kind of think it's a little bit of a crack ship, but it would kind of be cute with Boss and Rosie because he's always so serious, and she would like drag him out of it.
They're
Like
probably
that.
the same age. It's fine. It's perfect.
Yeah.
How many PCs have died in games since inception?
No permadeath.
Yeah, no
Nothing
permadeath.
Permadeath.
But we are at a point where we can get access to. Well, we had access to reincarnation. So, what do we have? We have Oshin 1, 2 for Callie, Mari 1. So that's it. There's just the
that's
4.
4.
Which is not bad considering 16 people and clearly a DM willing to let us die.
Yes. Well, for the right reasons.
Well, prologue
we-
characters.
Oh, prologue characters. I think most of our prologue characters are dead.
Okay, we can't actually
got a
say because we don't know. Lady
Yeah,
Edith.
I got a
don't-
goddamn
and
holiday
we-
for my characters.
Lady
death,
Edith got a
so-
holiday.
You know what?
I like to think that Ashlyn is around there somewhere, but she's probably gone by now.
I hope she's around
yeah.
just because we have Trey still. So
Yeah.
My prologue character was a Faroche.
Danny.
So yeah, Danny, she would have passed away by now because it's been 100 years since the prologue sessions. So
I'm
there's
still-
no way she'd still be around.
I'm
I
still
think
trying to
mine's
convince.
alive.
Yeah,
Pretty sure mine's alive because people are still using her mark if they are.
No,
So-
I'm pretty damn sure Marina's alive because we've all talked about the siren.
I'm still trying to convince Logan to maybe do a one shot where we go back and play our prologue characters.
We
Oh
should.
god, I'd love that.
Just to kind of like shake off the dust and be like, all right, I just want to play this a little bit. Just to have
Make
fun.
them all level 20, level 21
The
shot.
whiplash from Pesk being the Tempest Cleric to Marina being the Tempest Cleric would be great, and I love.
I don't have to remember how to play a rogue.
That's why I almost don't want to play a level 20. There'd be too much stuff happening. I kind of just want to go back to being a 10th level.
I don't know.
It's like, this is manageable.
Forge Cleric, Aisling could just be like, new weapon? Done.
Well, because I don't necessarily want to do
Marina
combat.
could fly. I'd be so excited.
I don't necessarily would want to. I wouldn't necessarily want to do combat. I just want to like role play in them again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be really fun. I'd have fun with that.
I do miss my very, very, very gay Fire Genasi. She was a good girl. Even
Danny
if
was
Nora,
a lot of fun too.
Even if Nora was.
I mean,
not
why
nice.
do you think I wear Russian drag queen t-shirts if I'm not going to play Lady Enith? I mean, it's just silly. God, I want to play her again. I want to play her so
miss
bad.
Lady Enith so much. That was all I needed was to be like, yeah, I miss Lady Enith now.
I think I finished the prologues like with that book. Lady Enith was like, "This is a princess book," and it was like some warrior.
I made that shit up. I made that shit up on the spot. I'm like, okay, what's this fucking book about?
So great.
Sorry, these are all.
I
Out
need
of
Connor
context.
to
Like,
learn.
oh man, our character.
I need Connor to learn more about what's going on.
That's what we do.
Tell
We
us
can-
stories of the old days.
Yes. Yes. That's what we do. We tell Logan.
You don't know how hard the urge to not ask is because I have no reason to ask. But I need to know.
Uma was such a good character.
Yeah.
They all were.
They were all good.
Well,
Sorry,
on that lovely
we're talking about
nostalgic
characters now
note,
that no one
Yeah,
knows.
We should stop.
They will if we do a one shot with them one day.
we'll leave it up to Logan. We won't make him. But we really
All
want to.
right. Any final ships before we call it a night?
The party and happiness.
Party and rest.
There you go. We're still in the middle of this arc. That's not happening.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, which is so terrifying.
This last
Yeah.
episode was called The Calm, and that's scary.
Yeah. I'm
Yes,
pretty
yes,
sure
it
that
is.
the next episode is going to be called The Storm, which scares the crap out of me. So, on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and call it an evening. Anybody have any last thoughts?
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming. It was a lot of fun.
I hope I can laugh again without coughing a lung out, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I feel your pain.
All right, guys. Well, as always, thank you again for joining us for Countless Chronicles, where we recap the last couple of episodes of Countless Heroes. Thank you again to the wonderful Kyle Gold for being in our chat tonight, and also for being our first guest. It was so amazing to have you. You were a delight. We cannot thank you enough. Tune in tomorrow night at 7 p.m. PST here on Twitch, same channel, to find out what happens tomorrow on Countless Heroes. And
Indeed.
as always, carry on, you funky little tieflings.
Night, everyone.
bye.